Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to the Dennis Herrera show. I'm so glad that you guys are here. Um, we're going to listen to this press conference. I don't think we have covered it yet. I've seen a couple of clips from the news reports, but I haven't heard the whole press conference. So that is exactly what we're going to listen to. But I got other things to share with you today. Welcome back, Burning 47. I see you. I like the spamming of the American flag. I love that. That, my friends, you can spam that anytime. I love that. Let's see. Crime is, it says, waiting to see a. Oh, if you're wearing a suit and tie. Nah. Sorry to disappoint, Mr. Cray. But don't worry. Tomorrow, maybe tomorrow, I'll give you the satisfaction. We'll see. We'll see. I'll go shopping for a new shirt. I need a new shirt. That's my excuse. I'm sticking to it, and that's it. That's what we're gonna do. There's other ways, I guess, that I can cheat on my suits. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Maybe I get a short sleeve. It gets pretty hot over here, and I don't got no AC in my room, so here that's in the studio here. We don't have AC. We are poor folks doing live streams. All right, good to see you guys in here. He wants to look the part. Let's see. Today we're looking the part of the chilling politician. This is what I will look like on regular clothing. When we are business, we're going to be doing business. Robert, how are you, big bro? You haven't missed anything. I think we are in the right live, right? Did you notice anything different? What is it? What does it go this way? Anything different? There we go. Have you noticed anything different? Ah, man, don't worry, Craig. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and we're going to listen to the POTUS. I have not seen this yet, and I would like to listen. So if you guys want to sit here with me and watch it, we will go ahead and do a couple of talking points. Maybe we'll take a couple of calls to see if we have anybody that wants to, come in and give us any ideas of what is going on to them in Iran. I know. I'll tell you what, I need you guys to help me with this, okay? When I have people calling in, I want my man. Welcome. Brian, big bro, how are you? Good to see you. When we have people on here, remind me of this, okay? Because when people call in, what I want people to do is give me your ideas, right? I want their ideas. I want their opinion on something. I don't want somebody to just call in and start asking me questions, unless I said, call me to ask me questions about this. But it has to be the subject. On immigration, 100%, every single time they can ask me anything on immigration, okay? I like that. As a matter of fact, I listened to the birthright citizenship hearing. It's a waste of time. I find it so so interesting that the way that people interpret the Constitution, it is just beyond me how the people that interpret it the way that allows illegal immigrants to have citizen kids, it boggles my mind. It really does. I don't understand this interpretation. I really don't. But I have what's going on, BC? Man, I hope you're not too drunk today, man. You get crazy once you get too many tequilas up there. Yeah, I know how you Somali pirates are over there. You guys go crazy. Oh, sorry. Rum. Go crazy with the rum. BCJ finally put down his pirate gown to come and join the Dennis Herrera show. He's American. He's just loony, American loony. But I'm glad that you're doing okay, man. I really do, and I'm proud. I'm proud of you. I'm glad that you finally figure out how to dial that number. It's a big difference. It's a big difference. I appreciate BCJ call. He's no longer BC gay. All right, he's BCJ. That's it. BCJ. He's a few years older than me, so I got to give him a break. Omar, how are you? All right. So, with that being said, remember, loudmouth Honduran. Don't you forget it. Speaking of loudmouth Honduran, man, when this guy called in, that was some loudmouth New Yorker right there. It was really crazy. It was really crazy. Let's see. What's your thoughts on the troops injured and the Strait of Hormuz? Well, first of all, I think that we need to secure that passage. It is huge. Iran. Many people don't understand why Iran attacked all these other areas besides the United States, who is over there hitting them hard. What they don't understand is something that the Saudi prince said one time when he was being interviewed, and he said that the Ayatollah, Khamenei, they're like the Nazis, they're like Nazis. Like Adolf Hitler. And I was like, wait, what? I think he said Adolf Hitler. But they're like Nazis, and they ask him why. Well, because he's trying to expand. So, I mean, the people in the Middle East, all the Arab countries, when Trump went out there, this kings and prince, and presidents and prime ministers, they reached out and they wanted to make peace, make a deal with America, with President Trump. This is why Qatar offered President Trump a big ass jet plane as a gift. Such a waste. Let me have it. I will never. Well, I'll probably fly in it one time and then I just sell it for some money. Anyway. So he mentioned that Iran is just trying to expand. And well, with the attack that we had with the United States on them, which, by the way, we are annihilating this regime, not the Iranian people. We want the Iranian people to be free, just like Venezuela, and even more. Okay, Iran was almost like an identical United States in the 60s and 70s, from what I can watch on the videos. Man, they were adapting to the Western, Western view, I guess. I think it was called something white movement, and but I think they were doing good, I think. And then they were fear-mongered into allowing the Ayatollah to take over. And let's be honest, man, those people are evil, very evil. I don't know if you guys ever seen Faces of Death. This is something that you definitely need to be 18 to watch. It's horrific. You can smell death. You can see it. You can feel it. It is very appalling. I watched that thing one time and I said, nope. This is demonic. Something evil is here. And but switching gears. Okay, so Iran, switching back to the subject. Iran showed all of the people in the Middle East what they have been complaining and worrying about, that Iran was going to have attacks set up. Now, I'll be honest, this is just a theory. I think that Iran just messed up. Iran just had locations already programmed with their missiles, with the missile equipment. And when they try to attack USA, they probably just let it rip. And it hit all the targets that they have marked. That's just a theory. That is not a fact. That is just a theory. But, there's a lot of things that can go on in there. And, the Saudi prince was correct. Iran the regime was trying to take over the other Arab countries. I mean, that's just the way it is. And I am very glad that we are there. I am very proud and very supportive of all of our military who is out there sacrificing their lives to make things right, not just for America, but for the world. And in the same time, they are representing us with great honor. They really do bring honor to our country. They're great warriors. And with that being said, thank you, BC. BCJ is going to send me a shirt that matches for my suits. I want to share something. Let me just switch switch subjects here. I saw this American flag. I'm going to turn the light down a little bit in my face. I saw this American flag with a beautiful bald eagle, and it looked as big as this button right here, okay? I want you to see this. That, my friends, is what I'm talking about. Trust me, I'm going somewhere with this. Let's see if it focuses on. Come on. This thing is so small, it doesn't even want to see it. Anyway, it's a beautiful eagle. It's a beautiful eagle with an American flag. And I thought it was going to be that big. I don't think you guys will ever be able to tell what this is. So until I go to conferences in person, I'm probably not going to wear it. But I will definitely be wearing some pins. I'm going to look like one of those Boy Scouts grabbing medals for doing things. All right. Let's get to it. Let's go ahead and listen to the press conference. Probably most of you guys will probably already heard this. But let's get to the press conference. You guys know I like to ramble all over the place. ADHD is fantastic. It helps me to never shut up. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. But we will talk about Iran, and I want you to do this. If we do open the lines to call, I want you to tell me exactly what you think, okay? And of course, if you want my opinion, you can get my opinion. But I do not want anybody trying to fight me or trying to come into my channel just to try to be a nuisance and just be battling for no reason. That's not what I want. Okay, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. But first, let's get to the video. I appreciate you all being here, Brian. Big shout out to my big bro, Brian. Very supportive. Appreciate your words, your wisdom, and your knowledge. You have been a great supporter of mine, and I appreciate you, big bro. Robert, you guys are in the same category with Man. I mean, you guys have just been very nice to me, and I appreciate it. And I really mean it. I'll tell you what, if we win the governor seat here in Washington State, I will have a very special dinner with you guys. Okay? I promise. Keep me up for it. Keep me up to it. Make sure that I keep my promise, okay? Robert, Brian, and Man. All right? Maybe some others, but you three big bros, God bless you. I appreciate you. You have no idea. I'm a person that is kind of like Trump, okay? We're Geminis, and I think that's probably why the same kind of attitude. People think that I support Trump because I like Trump, and that's not the case. I see what Trump has gone through in life. I know I have struggled in life. But the mentality that he has towards America, the only difference, I'm telling you, the only difference is that he's a billionaire. But everything else that he does, that is exactly what I would do. It just makes sense to me. I know people think that I'm brainwashed. Yes, sir. Yeah, yes, Brian. But people think that I'm just brainwashed by the MAGA. This right here, this is trolling. This is my freedom of speech. I do support it, but the reason why I like everything that he's doing is because that's what I would do myself. And I know me, and I know I'm not a pervert. I know I'm not a pedophile. And I know how people criticize me and how they raise false testimony against me. So the problem is that the people on the left, they keep claiming, they keep yelling wolf, 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 that now it's just an annoying thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, this whole birth, natural, born American, birth American citizenship. It's stupid. It makes no sense to me. And who knows? Maybe I'll get to the point where somebody says it better than I do. Okay, but I will share that after we get this video. I'm telling you, I support Trump on everything because he's just doing what I would do. As a matter of fact, I think a lot of people will agree with me that he is doing exactly what we want to do ourselves. He really is representing us very well. And I think that, when he won the first time, he won because of the way he talked. And Americans were so tired of censorship that he won. We got to win. When people get tired of the lies and the mistreatments, you change your mind. And I think President Trump has not mistreated any American citizens. On the contrary, he's been pushing for American citizens to be placed first. And I find it interesting that the left just can't do that. They just can't set aside the fact that Trump is the hated person. That's fine, hate him. But the policies are solid. And that's what I have a problem with on the left. Listen, this channel is not made for the leftist. This channel is made for conservative Christians, okay? And anybody, and any American that wants to put America first. You can always talk with me, and we can kind of give each other's opinions, but don't call to debate me just because you want to trash my opinion. That's not what I'm here for. If you don't like my channel, I get it. Everybody's free to go whatever they want to go. But, we'll get to it. I want to play a part from the hearing, okay? And I want you to listen to how somebody, since they don't want to take my word for it, I want you to listen to what a professional or an expert on the Constitution, all this stuff, speaks about natural birthright citizenship, okay? That's what I'm going with. And when he says what he says, I'm sitting back and like, that's right. That's what I've been saying. That's how I interpret it. I believe the Supreme Court has had activist judges for too long. And they keep doing things in a way that it's just irrational. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't protect the United States of America in any way. It is like this. In order to allow birthright citizenship from illegal immigrants, it's like the stupidest thing because, here, for example, if you're born American, your parents are American and residents, at least residents, right? If their parents are American and you have a child here, listen, you are a permanent resident, you're a citizen. This is the land where you live. This is technically your permanent country. You just can't vote. You just don't have the right to vote, but you can have everything else. And so if you have children while you're an American, a resident alien, I believe those children should be citizens. Sure. Of course. You're here legit. You're not a visitor. I mean, you're a permanent resident alien. That's what you are. Permanent resident. It's just one step from citizenship. And the way that I interpret it is like, okay, that's okay. When we talk about slaves, okay, well, the slaves that were going to be permanently here when they had kids, those are citizens. I agree with that. I agree 100%. So anyway, I will go ahead and find the spot so that you guys can listen to the way that this person interprets the birthright citizenship. And who knows, maybe I misunderstand what he says, and maybe he contradicts everything I just told you. But that's what I believe, and I feel like what he says is correct. I like specifically this part, and this is something that I had to do myself. Obviously, I was an adult. I had to swear loyalty to this country, to this government and its laws. An illegal alien that has a child here has no loyalty, has made no oath, has no alliance to the United States of America. Therefore, they are not falling under the jurisdiction of the area where that child is born. It just that makes total sense to me. But we'll see. We'll let the experts get into it, and then after the press conference, we'll go ahead and talk a little bit about it. I apologize I came out here too late. I really should have been on at 5 p.m., but I was still trying to finish the hearing. Okay, and I was going to show you guys all of that, but it's about an hour, 40 minutes. Maybe we'll play it some other time if you guys are interested. But that's it. Hey, listen, that's Mr. Felon to you, sir. Trump is a felon. That is correct. He is a felon. He did get arrested and went to prison. That's exactly what a felon means. So you're not wrong about that. What you are wrong about is the 34 felonies that he was being charged for. He was vindicated. He was done. You know, he was, is it vindicated? Vindicated, right? I think it's vindicated. Man, English sucks to me, okay? But I try to speak the best as I can. Is it acquitted or vindicated? Let me take a look real quick. Wow. Somebody in the chat, go ahead and put it in there. Let's see. I think it's acquitted. Acquitted. I think it's acquitted, actually. What am I saying? Vindicated. Cutting edge. Now only the safe Thanks for the super, bro. You give me so much support. I appreciate you. Is afraid and is suing Trump before November, even though it hasn't happened yet. Furthermore, the Insurrection Act has a provision requiring Trump to activate it legally. I find interesting that Democrats are freaking out that ICE is going to be at the voting locations. That's fantastic. And I have been hearing about 100 exonerated. Happy Mac, thank you. That's one of it. Hold on, let me see. Acquitted refers to legal judgment in the criminal case declaring a defendant not guilty. Okay, acquitted would be the word. What's vindicated? Let's see. Vindicated means to be cleared of accusations, blame, or doubt. Okay, well, they all work. Every single one of them works, okay? Okay, all right. Listen. If I tell you in Spanish, I know exactly what it means, and I know more than you do, okay? But when it comes to English, I feel like the words are what I'm translating from Spanish to English. I just have to make sure that that's what it is. But all those three things, right, exonerated, acquitted, and vindicated, it means the same shit. So I don't know why the leftists get all excited when I'm not sure about a definition of a word. English is my second language. So there's that. All right, guys. Without further ado, let's get into it.
In a very big 2 days, I have to say. And we'll be heading back to Washington, D.C. right after this. And I'd like to wish everyone a very good evening. And over the weekend, the United States military and the Israeli Defense Forces continued Operation Epic Fury very successfully. Over the past 9 days, we've carried out some of the most powerful and complex military strikes and maneuvers the world has ever seen. Now, you add that up to all of the other things, Midnight Hammer, getting rid of the nuclear threat from Iran, which was a big moment in history, in my opinion, and the great success we've had in Venezuela and all other places. Every place we've gone, we've had tremendous success. But while we're doing all of these things, we're achieving major strides toward completing our military objective. And some people could say they're pretty well complete. We've wiped every single force in Iran out very completely. Most of Iran's naval power has been sunk. It's on the bottom of the sea. It's almost 50 ships. I was just notified it's 51 ships. I didn't know they had that many. Didn't last very long. And these are fighting vessels. They're meant to fight, but they're not meant to fight against us. We continue to target Iran's drone and missile capabilities. Their drones are way down. Their drone manufacturing has been hit starting today. We know all of the places they manufacture the drones, and they're being hit one after another. Their missile capability is down to about 10%, maybe less. We're also hitting where they make missiles and where they deliver missiles. We've struck over 5,000 targets to date, some of them very major targets, and we've left some of the most important targets for later in case we need to do it. If we hit them, it's going to take many years for them to be rebuilt, having to do with electricity production and many other things. So we're not looking to do that if we don't have to. But they're the kind of things that are very easy to hit, but very devastating if they are hit. We are waiting to see what happens before we hit them. We could take them all out in one day, but it's all resulting in a 90% decline in various things, but in particular, Iranian missile launchers and 83% drop in drone launchers. As you know, the drone launchers are pretty well shot, but we're at over 90% decline in the Iranian missile launchers, which is very hard to reproduce and very hard to get. And usually what we were able to do through great equipment, a lot of smart people, as soon as they sent a missile up from a launcher, we were able to knock out that launcher within a period of 5 minutes or less, accurately, right on the noggin. So now we have low-cost interceptors effectively combating Iranian drones, and our B-2 bombers recently dropped dozens of 2,000-pound bombs to destroy missile launchers all over Iran and buried deep under Iranian soil in many cases. The soil was no match. And we're also annihilating the manufacturing base that the regime uses to build drones and missiles at a rate that nobody thought was possible. We're knocking them out. We know where they all are. We're knocking them out very quickly. We're ahead of our initial timeline by a lot. I would say that we probably would not have thought after a month we'd be here, in addition to the fact that we've taken out the leadership twice and maybe 3 times. And we, as you know, we want to be involved. We don't want another president that maybe wouldn't be willing to do what I'm willing to do for the good of the world, for the good of our nation, to be stuck with a situation in 5 years or 10 years from now. So we think they should put a president in, or the head of the country in, that's going to be able to do something peacefully for a change. They've been doing this for 47 years, killing people for 47 years, whether it's the barracks or even the SS Cole where they were involved. Very strongly, they always denied it. But where they were very strongly involved, and all of the people that died through the roadside bombs died and are right now walking around with no legs, no arms, a face that's been so badly damaged. The Iranian regime has been attacking Americans and spreading terror for 47 years, and despite these countless opportunities to renounce their nuclear ambitions, which they had just a short while ago, they told Mr. Witkoff, who is standing right over here, they said, they actually said, we want to keep building. Essentially, in a real nutshell, we want to continue to build nuclear weapons. If we didn't knock out Midnight Hammer, if we didn't knock out their Iranian potential, if we didn't do that with Midnight Hammer, they would have had a nuclear weapon. They would have used it long before now. And at a minimum, Israel would have been annihilated. I was very lucky that we had the courage to do that, that we had the talented pilots and the great equipment. The B-2 bombers are unbelievable. We ordered 25 more, by the way. The newer, better version. It's we have the greatest military in the world. We have the greatest equipment in the world by far. You see that no matter where we go. You still need the people, though, to operate it and to use it. And those are the people that we cherish. Even after we obliterated their key nuclear sites in Operation Midnight Hammer. They never negotiated in good faith. They still continued to say, we want to build nuclear, we want enrichment at levels that were unacceptable. And they even turned down an offer for unlimited free nuclear fuel forever for civilian purposes. We had people offering them free nuclear fuel. They weren't interested in that because they wanted to build a nuclear weapon. So instead, the regime was trying to reconstitute its weapons program at a different site. They couldn't go back to where they were, the 3 sites that we obliterated, but they were starting work at another site, a different site, different kind of a site, and that was protected by granite. They wanted it protected. Granite's pretty good, but they wanted it protected by a lot deeper. They wanted to go a lot deeper, and they started the process while rapidly building conventional ballistic missiles. They were going to do it all at the same time that threatened our overseas bases and soon could have reached even our homeland. The regime's intention was to use this exponentially growing ballistic missile threat to make it virtually impossible to prevent them from obtaining a nuclear weapon. So as you probably saw, they had a tremendous number of missiles, most of which have now been used or destroyed, and very unsuccessfully used because we have been able, for the most part, to shoot them all down. What incredible technology. The Patriots have been unbelievable, and other things. And the laser technology that we have now is incredible. It's coming out pretty soon. Where literally lasers will do the work of, at a lot less cost, do the work of what the Patriots are doing or what other things are doing. The situation was very quickly approaching the point of no return, and the United States found it intolerable, in my opinion, based on what Steve and Jared and Pete and others were telling me, Marco, so involved, that I thought that they were going to attack us. I thought they would, if we didn't do this at the time we did it, I think they had in mind to attack us. And if you notice, they did something which was very foolish, very stupid, I would say. They attacked their neighbors. And their neighbors were largely neutral, or at least weren't going to be involved, and they got attacked. And it had the reverse effect. The neighbors came onto our side and started attacking them, and actually quite successfully. If you look at Saudi Arabia, you look at UAE, Qatar, and others, but they were strong and they were smart, but they got attacked. Nobody, when I first heard it, I said, no, somebody made a mistake. There was no mistake. UAE had over 1,000 missiles shot at it, knocked them almost all down. On the very first day I came down the escalator in 2015, I said, quote, I will stop Iran from getting nuclear weapons, and all I'm doing is keeping my promise. Think of that. That was in 2015. I said it. It was a threat then and a much bigger threat now, but no longer a threat, not for a long time anyway. We want to keep it that way. As we continue Operation Epic Fury, we're also focused on keeping energy and oil flowing to the world, and I will not allow a terrorist regime to hold the world hostage and attempt to stop the globe's oil supply, and if Iran does anything to do that, they'll get hit at a much, much harder level. I will take out those targets that were easy and that I mentioned just before. We'll take them out so quickly, they'll never be able to recover, ever. If they want to play that game, they better not play that game. In the long run, oil supplies will be dramatically more secure without the threat of Iranian ships, drones, missiles, nuclear menace, or anything. So the Strait of Hormuz is going to remain safe. We have a lot of Navy ships there. We have the best equipment in the world, inspecting for mines. Again, most of their ships are down at the bottom of the sea. But we will hit them so hard that it will not be possible for them or anybody else helping them to ever recover that section of the world if they do anything. In recent years, the regime and its terror proxies have launched attacks on hundreds of commercial vessels. We're putting an end to all of this threat once and for all, and the result will be lower oil prices, oil and gas prices for American families. We've done that. We've done it. We brought it very low. This was just an excursion into something that had to be done. We're getting very close to finishing that, too. In the meantime, during this brief disruption, the United States is offering political risk insurance to any tankers operating in the Gulf. So we're putting up risk insurance. We'll perhaps go alongside of them for protection. We don't think it'll be necessary if it is. And if they do anything, the price will be incalculable. It will be so great that they will have wished they never did it, because you have to keep the straits flowing. With all of that, it affects other countries much more than it does the United States. It doesn't really affect us. We have so much oil. We have tremendous oil and gas, much more than we need. We have Venezuela now as our new partner, great partner. They've worked out so wonderful. We're working with the administration, the president, and it's a massive source of oil, gas, everything. But we're in a very good position, but very unfair to other parts of the world, like China as an example. I mean, we're doing this for the other parts of the world, including countries like China. They get a lot of their oil through the straits. So we're doing this. We have a very good relationship with President Xi in China. I'm going there in a short period of time, and we're protecting the world from what these lunatics are trying to do, and very successfully, I might add. We're also waiving certain oil-related sanctions to reduce prices. So we have sanctions on some countries. We're going to take those sanctions off till this straightens out. Then who knows, maybe we won't have to put them on. There'll be so much peace. But when the time comes, the U.S. Navy and its partners will escort tankers through the strait if needed. I hope it's not going to be needed, but if it's needed, we'll escort them right through. And we have the greatest mine-sweeping ability. We have the greatest ships, and all of the, we know exactly where they're placed. We'll get them out of there very fast, but we hope we don't have any of that. And again, if they do that, if they play that game, we're going to hit them at a level that they have not seen before. So we're winning very decisively. We're way ahead of schedule. Our military is the greatest in the world, with the greatest equipment and the greatest people in the world. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Iran's a very powerful country. They were going to take over the Middle East. If we did not hit them, they were going to take over the Middle East. They had thousands and thousands since their last hit. They had thousands and thousands of missiles and everything else. Most are now destroyed. But they were going to take over the Middle East. Those weapons were aimed at Middle Eastern countries that had nothing to do with this. They were going to take over the Middle East, and they were going to try and destroy Israel. So we stopped it with good timing, and we're very proud to be involved in this, and it's going to be ended soon. And if it starts up again, they'll be hit even harder. Thank you very much for being here. Go ahead. Any questions?
Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
Do you approve of Iran's new supreme leader? And secondly, can you tell us more about your call with Russian President Vladimir Putin today?
Yes.
What did you discuss?
Yes, I had a very good call with President Putin. We had a lot of people on the line from our side, from his side. We were talking about Ukraine, which is just a never-ending fight. And look, there's tremendous hatred between President Putin and President Zelensky. They can't seem to get it together. But I think it was a positive call on that subject. And we obviously talked then about the Middle East. And he wants to be helpful. I said, you could be more helpful by getting the Ukraine-Russia war over with. That would be more helpful. But we had a very good talk, and he wants to be very constructive. Yeah, please. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Iran, you called it an excursion. You said it would be over soon. Are you thinking this week it will be over?
No,
Are you talking
but soon.
about days?
I think soon.
Okay, and with respect
Very
to...
soon. Look, everything they have is gone, including their leadership. In fact, there are two levels of leadership, and even actually, as it turns out, more than that. But two levels of leadership are gone. Most people have never even heard about the leaders that they're talking about. So it's obviously been very powerful, very effective.
With respect to Cuba, you said that Cuba wants to make a deal.
Yes.
What would the United States get in return for that, and why should Americans trust Marco Rubio to negotiate it?
Well, Marco Rubio is doing a great job. I think he's going to go down as the greatest Secretary of State in history. Look at what we've done as a presidency. Look at what we've done as an administration. They trust Marco, and so do the American people trust. He's been successful no matter where he's been. He also speaks the language, which is always nice and always helpful. But he's dealing, and it may be a friendly takeover. It may not be a friendly takeover. It wouldn't matter because they're down to, as they say, fumes. They have no energy. They have no money. They're in deep trouble on a humanitarian basis. And we don't want to see that, but they were very, very bad to a lot of people, as you know, and a lot of people living on the Cuban-American vote, which I got at record levels. Very important. Those people are very important to me. I know what they went through. They went through hell. Some of them have gone on to be some of the most successful people in the country. Cuban-American business people, some of them are like the most successful in the country. And a lot of them are friends of mine because I've been fighting this battle with them for a long time. The Castro regime was brutal, but they lived off Venezuela. Now they don't live off Venezuela. Venezuela sends them no energy, no fuel, no oil, no money, no nothing. They lived without Venezuela. They couldn't have made it. And we cut them off from everything else. So, yeah, they're going to make either a deal or we'll do it just as easy anyway. Yeah. Please, go ahead.
There's footage that shows that an American missile strike and a Tomahawk missile likely destroyed that Iranian girls' school. So will the U.S. accept any responsibility
Well, I
for
haven't
that strike?
seen it, and I will say that the Tomahawk, which is one of the most powerful weapons around, is used by, is sold and used by other countries, you know that. And whether it's Iran, who also has some Tomahawks, I wish they had more, but whether it's Iran or somebody else, the fact that a Tomahawk is very generic, it's sold to other countries, but that's being investigated right now. Yeah, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. President, you've said the war is, quote, very complete, but your defense secretary says this is just the beginning. So which is it, and how long should Americans be prepared
Well, I think
for
you could
this war
say
to
it
last
both.
for?
It's the beginning of building a new country, but they have no Navy, they have no Air Force, they have no anti-aircraft equipment. It's all been blown up. They have no radar, they have no telecommunications, and they have no leadership. It's all gone. So, you could look at that statement. We could call it a tremendous success right now as we leave here. I could call it, or we could go further, and we're going to go further. But the big risk on that war has been over for 3 days. We wiped them out in the first 2 days. When you think about it, it's incredible. We wiped out a big Navy, very powerful Navy. These were ships, these were serious ships. These were ships that you buy when you want to win battles. They're all on the bottom floor. The sailors are all running off the ships. They refuse to get on the ships. The Air Force is gone. Everything's gone. The missiles are down to a trickle. The drones are down to probably 25%, and they'll soon be down to nothing. We'll have where they manufactured the drones are under fire as we speak. They're being hit. So the rest is going to be determination as to my attitude, along with the people in the Trump administration, what we want to do. Thank you. Yeah, please.
Can I ask you, you mentioned you were going to waive certain additional oil waivers or sanctions. Can you talk a little bit more about that and address in particular?
Well, we're looking to keep the oil prices down. We went artificially up because of this excursion into a very positive thing. I mean, this was an excursion that a lot of people wouldn't have done. I knew oil prices would go up if I did this, and they've gone up probably less than I thought they'd go up. But I don't think anybody thought we were going to be this quickly successful. This was a military success, the likes of which people haven't seen. We have the best military. We have the best equipment. We have, I believe, the best generals. We have the best. And this went very quickly. We talked about that with President Putin. He was very impressed with what he saw because nobody's ever seen anything quite like it. You know, Iran was a very powerful military country with all of the missiles. Now, you had the double attack. You had the original attack with us and Israel, and that knocked them for a loop. Then you had the B-2 bombers, which took out their nuclear capability, and they would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks to 4 weeks. And they would have used it long before this press conference. And we might have had a much different press conference if we had a press conference at all. But it's been amazing. The military success that we've had is truly unprecedented.
You've told your congressional colleagues that you will not sign any piece of legislation until the Save America Act is passed. Does that include the confirmation of Senator Mullen as your next DHS secretary? Does that mean a DHS funding bill? And Senator Thune said today it's not a matter of whether or not your Republican colleagues agree with the policy, it's about changing the process. In other words, getting rid of the filibuster to get there.
So in order to get it, you're going to need Democrat votes. And what we're saying is the Save America, not the SAVE Act, which nobody knew what it was, the Save America Act, the Save America Act. And that's voter ID. We want voter ID. When a voter, we want to be able to see a picture of the voter. We want to be able to see that the voter is legitimate. We want, very importantly, confirmation that this voter is a citizen of the United States of America, and we want no mail-in ballot scams. So we have exceptions for the military, for sick, for disabled, and for people that are away, business trips or whatever. Even vacations will be very liberal in that. We've added two things to it: no men in women's sports and no transgender mutilization of our children. We don't want it's mutilization of our children, and we don't want that. So we added those two things. That's the 5 points. We have 5 very good points. It polls at 86% with Democrats. Think of that. The overall vote is 86%. With Republicans, it's 98%. And the only one opposed to it is a Democrat leadership because they cheat. They want to cheat. So we added those 2 points. We're going for the gold, and we're going to have to fight like hell. Now, certain things will happen. Certain things will take place. I'm here to do a great job for the country. But we don't have a country if we're going to have elections that are so corrupt and so dishonest like we've witnessed over the last period of time. You know, as an example, virtually nobody has nobody has a system of mail-in ballots like we have. No other country in the world. France went away from it. They all went, you know why? Because it's corrupt. And Jimmy Carter, when he had a commission, frankly, I think it's probably the best thing Jimmy Carter did. He said, you can't have mail-in voting because it's inherently dishonest. And it's turned out to be totally dishonest, so we're going to fight for it. Yeah.
Has Iran activated any sleeper cells inside the U.S.? There's reports that they have pressed that trigger button to activate those cells, at least abroad.
Well, they've been trying for a long time. We've been very much on top of it. One of the things we have to do is get the Democrats to stop the Democrat shutdown, because, as you know, the apparatus that looks into that, Schumer and the Democrats have shut it down, which tells you they probably hate our country a lot. But the Democrats have to open that up. But we've got very, very good intelligence into that. We know a lot of different things that have happened that have been very bad. A lot of them came in during the Biden open border period, but we have them under, we've got them, we're watching every single one of them. Yeah, we know a lot about them. The biggest problem we have is the Democrat shutdown. We know a lot about them, but the shutdown doesn't allow us to do what we have to do.
Do you have to take him out? Does he have a target on his back?
You mean the new Supreme Leader? You mean the son?
How can there be an Iran with
Well,
another
I don't want to say that, but you know, I was disappointed because we think it's going to lead to just more of the same problem for the country. So I was disappointed to see their choice.
Thank you, sir. You've said you have someone in mind to be the new Iranian leadership, if not the Ayatollah's son. What are you looking for in that person? Are you looking at someone internal, given that you just said that their leadership has been decimated?
I like the
and
idea
wiped
of,
out?
you know, internal and eternal, come to think of it. But I like the idea of internal because it works well. I mean, I think we've proven that so far in Venezuela. We have a woman, Delcy, who has been, president of the country, very respected, she's doing a great job. And it's, no disruption. We had, as you remember, Iraq, where everybody got fired. The military got fired, the police got fired, the politicians got fired. There was nobody. And you know what they turned into? ISIS. And we don't want that. We don't want that. So I would like to see people that are inside go. Now, they talk about the son of the Shah. They talk about other people. But, hasn't been there in many, many years. We have a formula that's been very good so far, and I think it'll continue to be good. The relationship is extraordinary with Venezuela, smart country. We've taken out 100 million barrels of oil. It's right now in Houston being taken care of and made so beautiful. And you have to see this at work. They have, it's brought to the refineries. It's being refined in Houston, which is made exactly for that product. And so far, but it's 100 million barrels of oil, and now they have another 100 million barrels coming. And it's like a partnership. We're getting along so well with them. It's great for Venezuela, and it's great for the United States. Yeah, please go ahead.
Hi, Mr. President. You just suggested that Iran somehow got its hands on a Tomahawk and bombed its own elementary school on the first day of the war. But you're the only person in your government saying this. Even your defense secretary wouldn't say that when he was asked, standing over your shoulder on your plane on Saturday. Why are you the only person saying this?
Because I just don't know enough about it. I think it's something that I was told is under investigation. But Tomahawks are used by others, as you know. Numerous other nations have Tomahawks. They buy them from us. But I will certainly, whatever the report shows, I'm willing to live with that report. Yeah, please.
You said earlier that we've already won in many ways, but we haven't won enough. What do you consider enough? What's your baseline?
Where they're not going to be starting the following day to develop a nuclear weapon. Where they'll look at that man and some other people from the administration and say, all right, we're not going to do it. They were not willing to say that. And when Steve called up and he said that to me, I said, well, here we go. Let's do it the hard way. But the hard way, I think, is probably the easy way. When basically I can see that they will no longer have any capacity whatsoever for a very long period of time of developing weaponry that could be used against the United States, Israel, or any of our allies. We have great allies in the Middle East, great countries that are allies. And they were staying out of it until they got hit. Someday they'll have to do a story. Why did he do that? Why did they do that? But they were going to hit them. If I didn't hit them first, they were going to hit our allies first. I believe, upon information and belief, but I believe that he was going to, they were going to take over the Middle East. They were looking to take over the Middle East. Now, had Operation Midnight Hammer not taken place, that was definite, because they would have had a nuclear weapon within a matter of weeks. But that took place. That was a setback. But look at the number of missiles they were able to buy and make over the last 6 months. And those missiles were aimed at various countries. And when you look at over 1,000 missiles shot at like UAE, they were looking to take over the Middle East. We got there first. We're lucky. I'll tell you what, the Middle East and those countries, very rich countries, are very lucky that I was president instead of somebody else.
Mr. President, are there any points of disagreement between yourself and your vice president when it comes to U.S. action in Iran?
I don't think so, no. No, we get along very well on this. He was, I would say, philosophically a little bit different than me. I think he was maybe less enthusiastic about going, but he was quite enthusiastic. But I felt it was something we had to do. I didn't feel we had a choice. If we didn't do it, they would have done it to us. I felt, based on the negotiations that were being had by Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner and Marco and Pete and everybody was involved. I felt that they were looking to tap us along before they hit, and I thought they were going to hit. And if they hit us first, that would have been a very bad thing. In the back, please, in the back. About the Strait, you mean? Yeah, well, I want to keep it open. I want to keep it good. You know, it doesn't pertain to us so much as it does to China. We're really helping China here and other countries because they get a lot of their energy from the Straits. But, hey, look, we have a good relationship with China. It's my honor to do it. Yeah.
Leader, you have called him an unacceptable choice. So does he have a target on his back? And how can you say
I don't want to say whether or not he does because that would be inappropriate. But, hey, look, I had a target on my back because, as you people wrote pretty well, they caught the assassin that was after me. So we just got them first. But they caught the assassin. They have him now in custody that was after me. So, you know, but people don't like to mention that, but they did catch him. And I'd like to congratulate our military, Secret Service, FBI, all of the people that worked on that, but they did. Yeah, please.
Thank you.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You promised the Iranian people you would help them, but it sounds like you're willing to end this fight after your military objectives have wrapped up. Isn't that a betrayal of the people?
Will I help them? I'd like to, if they can behave, but they've been very menacing. You know, they're great people. They have an amazing population. It's amazing, smart, brilliant, energetic. They have a great, I'd love to help them, but they have to be in a system that allows them to be helped. And right now they're in a system that only allows failure. And I don't want that. And I want a system that's not going to be attacking us. We want a system that can lead to many years of peace. And if we can't have that, we might as well get it over with right now. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, as of today, there have been 8 U.S. military fatalities associated with the war in Iran. How many American deaths are you willing to have in this war?
Well, as I said before, when you have conflicts like this, you always have death. And I was at Dover yesterday. I met the parents, and they were unbelievable people. They were unbelievable people, but they all had one thing in common. They said to me one thing, every single one, finish the job, sir. Please finish the job. And I'll leave you at that. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
I appreciate how many times this president is out and about everywhere. And the moment that he closes his eyes during a very long, hard-working day in meetings, I tell you, I'd be passed out myself with all these meetings. But it's crazy how people on the left are so easy to judge and go off on a president that is doing so much for this country. Regardless of how you feel about him, I'm telling you, you need to get over it. Your hate for Trump, it's tremendous, and it's not letting you see clearly. I'm going to jump in to a clip that we have from Outnumber here in Fox, the leftist favorite news news media. But before I get there, let me address Sonny. Yep, I still can't believe they got rid of the Kiowa. I really like those helicopters, and they're trying to get rid of the Warhogs, and both of those things saved my ass in Afghanistan. The only reason why I know about the A-10 Warhogs is I watched a documentary on it, and the soldiers were giving their feedback, and they were just like, just what you said. They saved their ass, and they get so danger close. It's just amazing. They say that by the time you hear, it's too late. You're done. By the time you get to hear those bullets coming in, you're done. And man, I don't know. You know what? I am so impressed. I tell you, I'm so impressed by the military, Air Force, Navy SEALs, Black Ops, etc. it's just great to be American. And I'm telling you, I'm so glad they're on our side. I am very happy that they are representing us with great power and might across the world and across the globe. Because before, I don't understand what, there is no refund checks, bro. Go get a job, man. Go get a job. Get some money. There is, he just threw me off. There is no reason for us to have a military. With the way the leftists think, there's no reason to have a military. Everything is peachy. As a matter of fact, why don't you go and join Mexico? The president, Claudia Sheinbaum, she believes that by giving the cartel hugs, they will be rehabilitated and reincorporate into society as a great people. That's what the leftists think. That's how you libtards lose your freedoms. Lucky for us, we got more Americans fighting to keep those freedoms. Hey, Bernio, how are you, my friend? Thank you for stopping by, joining us here, dropping a line. We're about to watch Outnumbered. Let's take a listen to what they say. Hey, some people want us to read more news. Well, let's listen to some more news. Let's see what they say.
Kilmeade, lots to discuss. What did you guys uncover and unpack for 3 hours this morning?
A lot, but I would say, for one thing, he was just talking about what has surprised him, and those was the Gulf states getting involved, rocketing them, and it plays to what he was saying on...
Hold on, S.A. Claudia Sheinbaum says cutting edge, block POTUS. Yep, I know. Military actions in Mexico. I think that they and she fear the new shield of Americas. Bro, that's a good point. That's a good point. I'm going to tell you something. I am very eager to see what comes out of this America's Counter Cartel group. I can't wait. I think great things are going to happen. I really do.
Sunday, he said that there was a plan in place for Iran really to take over the Middle East. Oman is rich and Qatar is rich and the UAE is rich, but they're not well defended. They got missile defense and that is it. And there was a plan in place for the bully of the Middle East, which is now Iran, used to be Saddam, to take it over. And that's why the decentralized command structure in which they have right now, which shows no one really in charge, you can act independently. That's why the president says one thing and the IRG says the other thing. And then he says, don't worry, we're not going to hit you if you're one of our Gulf states and stay out of this. At the same time, they're getting rocketed and their satellites and office buildings are getting done, is because he believes there was a plan in place as of 4 months ago to take over the Middle East. The one thing the Gulf states are worried about is they're worried about us leaving early. Don't leave them wounded, destroy them, and finish the job, because they all recognize what we recognize, and that Iran is the problem. Isn't it great to be in a Middle East conflict, and they're not blaming Israel? Israel has never been the problem. They're defending themselves, but they do it offensively, and now people realize it is Iran. And when you rocket Israel's neighbors and Israel doesn't touch them, it's pretty clear who the bad guys are.
All right, and to that point exactly, Ainsley, the Wall Street Journal wrote an op-ed published this morning saying this: is it time for President Trump to call off the bombing and declare victory in Iran? They say you'd think so, judging by the panic in Washington as the price of oil spikes, but they say that certainly is the fondest wish of the Ayatollahs, who know they are losing.
Yeah, I mean, that's up to the president. The president will decide when this is over. He has a lot more intel than any of us do. And so he'll make that decision. As far as the oil prices, people just need to stop panicking. We might see some spikes for a little bit, but it's worth it to prevent Iran from having a nuclear weapon, which could destroy or wipe us all out. So if I have to pay a little bit more for gas, I'll do that for the next few weeks. But it's not as expensive as it was in the beginning. 2 days ago, yesterday, it was what, 120 a barrel? Now it's in the 90s. So we're seeing that drop a little bit. The Strait of Hormuz, we're seeing more ships go through that area. Brian was saying this morning he really wants more ships to go through, and that's the direction we're heading now. But Wickoff went in and he pressed them, and President Trump begged them to take that free civilian use uranium to use for nuclear power, and they refused. Why? Because they want to enrich, and we can't let them enrich. They said from the get-go, they told Steve Wickoff at the beginning of the meetings, we have enough uranium that's enriched to build 11 nuclear bombs.
Kayleigh, as we opened with the Secretary of War saying that today is likely going to be the most intense day yet, arguments that we've decimated up to 90+% of Iranian defense in different categories. How do you see this as a calibration for the weeks ahead?
Yeah, I still can't get over what Ainsley mentioned was the opening salvo of the Iranians in the negotiation. We have enough uranium for 11 nuclear bombs, and then the Ayatollah is taken out. It's an interesting place we're in. I think President Trump has all the luxury of time to make the right decision. His base is firmly behind him. Any of the voices out there saying the MAGA base is questioning this, don't listen to them because it's just simply not accurate. And in fact, when you look at some polling, YouGov, you see Republicans who were 68% supportive of this move to 78%. When you look at MAGA in particular, 85% support for President Trump's actions. And interestingly, if you go back to Maduro, just over 50% of the MAGA base said we want Maduro taken out. President Trump did it. That number went up to 80%. So President Trump has the luxury of a political movement that's firmly behind him and trust him. I'm very interested in this decentralized power structure. Apparently, it's been diffused into 31 entities across Iran, all designed to act independently in the case that one is taken out. But there are a lot of bad things that can come from that. You mentioned the Gulf states being hit. So Pezeshkian, the president, came out and said, we apologize for attacking the Gulf states. And then what happened moments later? One of these entities goes and attacks the Gulf states.
And rebukes him.
And rebukes him. And to the point of being rebuked, these 31 entities could become warlords attacking one another. So it's a really dangerous posture, but I fully believe we have the right commander-in-chief to assess what is happening geopolitically and make the right choice.
Yeah. A perfect tee up with those polls, Harris. I forgot where I was yesterday. Oh, I was in the dentist's office, in the waiting room, forced to watch a different network. And I saw polls being shown that reflected a far different scope, right? And it was clearly an internal polling, but it talked about diminishing approval when the reality is that the numbers writ large show an escalating approval and a willingness to accept a short-term pain with oil, with gas, for the long-term gain of stability and peace.
Right. I mean, the president's words about it could soon move the markets yesterday. They performed the way that Ainsley was saying. They didn't just do that on their own because a few ships started moving. They did that because the president of the United States said some words that mattered to people. So you can't discount the public. But you know who really is manipulating them at this time? Any of those terror cells that we don't know among us. I mean, last hour I just covered the breaking news of our U.S. consulate getting hit by gunfire in Toronto, and now they're hardening that target. The Toronto police there, and they're also talking to the capital city of Ottawa authorities there. They've got to harden that U.S. embassy there and also the Israeli consulate and embassy as well. So we are in a tender spot. Our enemies want to cause chaos. And so while we do what we do, it's not just about the patience and the oil prices. It's keeping us safe here at home. And you'll hear me beat the drum all day long. Democrats, come back to the table. Come on. Stop acting like toys are being thrown out of your crib that you can't reach. Come on. See the rest of us. Harden those targets. Make DHS whole as much as you can right now. CBP and ICE are already paid for, so I don't even know what they're doing. But that's important because that chaos element at home is what will make it harder for us to stay and do the job. It won't keep us. But we don't want that kind of disruption for our own citizens. We want our families to
I would love to see him take Karg Island, that oil island. He'd be just like Venezuela. We control their oil. 90% of their oil goes to this little island. The president talked about it in a 1988 interview, and I think he should grab it.
Wouldn't that portend stability? Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kayleigh McEnany.
Oh, SoCal, how wrong are the leftists? They are so cocky and confident that by smearing lies and fear-mongering, they think that they're going to win the midterms. All right, we're going to switch gears a little bit, and then we'll come back. I want to hear a couple of different views or a couple of different people talking about birth citizenship from the hearing today. And I want you to listen to it with me. There's a lot of good arguments from both positive and negative, for and against. But everything that is against, birth citizenship, the way that a lot of morons are interpreting the Constitution, I am against. Let's take a listen.
Thank you very much, Chairman Schmidt, Ranking Member Welch, and distinguished members of the committee. The scope of the citizenship clause depends on the original meaning of the phrase
subject to the jurisdiction thereof, as the chairman has mentioned. And because the term jurisdiction is ambiguous, one must look to the history of its use in the clause to help determine its original meaning. And further, because the central purpose of the Citizenship Clause was to constitutionalize the citizenship provision of the Civil Rights Act of 1866, the search must begin with the text and history of that act. The Civil Rights Act granted citizenship at birth to persons, quote, born in the United States and not subject to any foreign power, close quote. The act on its face thus excludes from birthright citizenship American-born children of temporary foreign visitors and illegal aliens, because the child's foreign parents, and thus the child, are by definition subject to a foreign power. Any possible doubt about this is removed by the Act's congressional history. The citizenship provision of the Act was introduced by Senator Lyman Trumbull, who explained that it would make citizens of everybody born in the United States who owe allegiance to the United States, and it would exclude from citizenship the children of, quote, persons temporarily resident in the United States whom we would have no right to make citizens, end quote. The Senate debate focused mainly on the citizenship of American Indians, and there was general agreement among the senators that Indians who belong to the Indian tribes should be excluded from birthright citizenship under the Act because they owed allegiance to the tribe, a quasi-foreign nation, they said. And the Indians, therefore, were not regarded as part of our people, as part of our population, end quote. Trumbull made clear that the Act's disqualification from the birthright citizenship applies not only to tribal Indians, but to everyone. As he explained, if a black man or a white man belonged to a foreign government, he would not be a citizen. Senator Reverdy Johnson likewise added, all black persons born in the United States who were not subject to any foreign power would become citizens by virtue of birth. What was not said in the debate is equally revealing. No one argued that foreign citizens temporarily visiting the United States are regarded as part of our people rather than part of the people of a foreign power. No one suggested that a child born to such foreigners while visiting here should be entitled to citizenship at birth. And no one even mentioned the English common law doctrine of jus soli. Just 2 months after passage of the Civil Rights Act, the 14th Amendment was taken up by the same 39th Congress, and Senator Jacob Howard moved to add the Citizenship Clause. The language he proposed differed from that of the Civil Rights Act. The phrase, not subject to any foreign power, was replaced by the phrase, subject to the jurisdiction thereof. But the change in language was clearly not intended to abruptly change the meaning and thereby to invalidate the Civil Rights Act's express disqualification of children of foreigners owing allegiance to a foreign power. As Senators Howard and Trumbull emphasized, the new language is simply declaratory of the law of the land already, the Civil Rights Act, and the object to be arrived at is the same. Instead, the language was changed to address concerns once again relating to the American Indians. As Trumbull stated emphatically, the new language means subject to the complete jurisdiction of the United States. What do we mean by subject to the jurisdiction of the United States? Trumbull asked. Not owing allegiance to anybody else. And it cannot be said of any Indian who owes allegiance to some tribal government that he is subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. So the dissenting opinion in Wong Kim Ark was right. As the dissenting justices said, the Civil Rights Act was passed and the 14th Amendment proposed by the same Congress. And it is not open to reasonable doubt that the words subject to the jurisdiction thereof in the 14th Amendment were used as synonymous with the words and not subject to any foreign power of the Civil Rights Act. The bottom line, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, is this. American-born children of foreign visitors and illegal aliens are not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States and are therefore not entitled to birthright citizenship. Thank you.
Bam! There you go. There you go. I'm telling you, this is exactly what this is how I interpret. This is how I interpret the Constitution. Why have we allowed activist judges or ignorant people to put this country in harm's way? There is no way. There is no way that you are going to allow people like our enemies to have a citizenship by popping up babies in our country. Just making babies, getting birth certificates, get the citizenship established, and shipping them back to their country so that they can be indoctrinated against the United States of America. Listen, I want to tell you, every country has traitors. Every country has people that just don't appreciate what they have. You heard the words of Mr. Charles Cooper. Now, people say that I'm crazy because that is how I interpret it. It makes total sense. It makes no sense that at any given time in our history, we allowed illegal immigrants to create anchor babies. I'm telling you, in the early 80s, I used to hear talks of women wanting to come to the United States of America to make a baby, an anchor baby. This was the talk. Early 80s. And now I'm going to give you the biggest example of how wrong it is to allow illegals to have citizen babies in this country. I'm going to give you Exhibit A. Protests against ICE. Children of illegal immigrants burning and pissing on the American flag while waving their Mexican and other countries' flag proudly. Did you hear that? Please, by the way, Elizabeth, no relation. She's probably illegal. I have no idea who Elizabeth is. But the thing is, you have to think about it. They have no loyalty. The illegal immigrants, I know Mexicans, listen, they call me Mexican. I'm a Honduran, okay? But because Mexico is right next door, everything is Mexican, okay? So let me tell you, Mexicans, when you illegal Mexicans are in this country, the loyalty that those children get, it's not for the United States of America. It is for Mexico. These kids are born in this country. I bet you anything. Let's go anywhere in the United States, anywhere. And let's go ask a son of an illegal Mexican that was born here, the son that was born here from illegal Mexicans, ask him, what are you? Automatically, first response, they will say Mexican. Now watch the difference. Watch the difference. I am a Honduran American. I came here legally. This is my testimony. I became a resident alien after a couple of years. I had permission to stay here. After 2.5 decades, I decided to become an American citizen. Why? I was so proud to be here, and I wanted to be we the people. I wanted the Constitution to pertain to me. Now, I have 7 children. They're half black, half Polynesian, and I'm from Honduras. My oldest, my first son, he has a big Honduras flag in the living room. And I asked him, in the living room, and I asked him, I said, mijo, thank you for respecting me. because that flag represents the country where I was born. Okay? Yeah. Thank you for honoring me and the land that I was birthed into. And I said, let me ask you something. I said, now if my son watches this, he knows it's true. I said to him, and I mean not to embarrass him, I said to him, so what are you if I'm from Honduras? Guess what he said? He said he was Honduran American. And I said, you are American. That's it. You're just American. Your nationality is an American citizen. You're not Honduran at all. I'm from Honduras. I thank you for honoring me with the Honduras flag. I appreciate that. My last baby, my daughter, she has a Honduras flag in her bedroom. I ask her, are you Honduran? She says, no, you are. I'm a Honduran American. And I said, so you're just American? She says, yes, I am. So proud of that. So proud of that. Now go and ask illegal immigrants and ask the children. Go ask the children, what are you? I can guarantee you, I can become rich right now. I can become rich making this bet. I bet you anything, every single one of those children from illegal immigrants, they will tell you that they're American. I mean that they're Mexican. And even some, because I have some in my family that they think they're Honduran too. And I tell my nephews, you guys are American citizens. You're not Honduran American. You were born here to legal parents. To some of my nephews that are born in Honduras, yes, they are Honduran American because they were born in Honduras and became naturalized American citizens. I'm going to tell you something. The Chinese, they have hundreds of, what do you call those people? They're used like surrogates. They're just incubators. They come here, they get babies, and bada bing, bada boom, ship it back to China with U.S. citizenship. How many terrorists? And let's be clear, they don't really have to go back to their country of their parents. They do it here. You know why? Because libtards are so stupid, they allow them to do these things to us. They are so naive, and they think that our enemy is nowhere to be found. They don't know that our enemy is already in our country. It's already here. They're already here. But what do you think? This is amazing to me. Mr. Cooper, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. That's all I need to hear. That's all I need to hear because there's nothing else that anybody can tell me to argue with me about birth citizenship. It is very clear to me in the Constitution, and I interpret it that way. And for some reason, activist judges and libtards believe that people that don't like us, that are enemies, can come into our country and become citizens. That is crazy. How the hell, how can you process that and think there's nothing wrong with it? Like, how can you not be worried? How can you not? Let me tell you something. There is a lot of migrants from Haiti. There's a lot of migrants from other African countries that come here. They are illegal. But everybody said, well, all blacks look alike, right? Nobody thinks about it. Nobody thinks about it. That's just how it is. I'm not saying that they're bad, but you don't know the difference. They look like me. They look like you. They are embedded in the system. Isn't that right, Carlos? Carlos says a lot of times is lich hearts. Do it for the religion that says be nice to everyone, turn the left cheek, so on and so on. You know, that's funny because when they come in here, they think I'm the type of Christian that I'm just going to sit down and be quiet, be a good boy. I don't care what movies you've been watching or how people have interpreted the Bible. You slap me on the face, you're going to get slapped in the face. That's just how it works. That's just how it works. And that is why I separate church from the government. How do I do that? Just the laws. All the moral compass that is in the Bible benefits the government. It benefits the people. So that part we don't separate. But when it comes to the law of the land, just like some libtards come in here with this righteous, I'm holier than thou, and come and tell me, oh my God, you don't love your neighbor. The Bible says to welcome the foreigners. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. But they got to be here legally. We live in different times. There's some papers to go around. You don't go to Mexico undocumented, you go to jail. You don't go to Honduras undocumented, you go to jail. You don't go to Guatemala. You don't go to Guatemala without documents, you go to jail. You go to jail. So what I'm saying is, I'm giving you a fact. I'm giving you a fact. Foreigners come to this country, the ones that come here illegally, they come to this country to be benefited from, not to come and benefit it. You see the difference? See, a child of an illegal immigrant in this country has no oath to the United States of America. Their loyalty will always land on their parents' country of birth, on their parents' nationality. Even those who are American and all of a sudden the mother is Mexican, ask the child, just like I told you about my children. The children of those people will tell you they're Mexican American. My kids are all American. They're not Honduran. And I'm going to tell you this. When I made my oath as a migrant, as a resident alien, when I made my oath to the United States of America, I was told that at the moment that I make the oath to become an American citizen, every baby from any country that I might have gone and dipped the stick on, any child that I would have made anywhere in the world, just imagine I would have made 10 Filipinos over there. I would have made another 10 Hondurans, 10 Mexicans, 10 Ecuadorians, 10 Argentina. I made all these children all over the world. Every single one of them, because of my nationality, being an American citizen now, they automatically become American citizens. Pending paternity test, of course. And there's a lot of paperwork to go with it, but that's how it is. That is how it is. Now, when all of those children from all over the world come into my house, because I've been in contact with them, right? And they become my children, they will have their nationality and they will also be American. But their loyalty, if they're old enough, if they're 18 or over, if they choose to accept American citizenship, they have to make the oath. And this is in my book. They got to make an oath. And that's how I look at it. You know, there was a case where this illegal father, this illegal parents, they came in here, they had these children. 3 of their kids, the illegal parent, 3 of them served in the military. Now, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. I know that's very commendable. I know that's very commendable. But the fact is that if their father is here illegally, I don't know the whole story behind it, if they were born here or if they were naturalized American citizens. I don't know. Maybe they were born here, right? but they serve in the military. Hey, thank you for your service. That's honorable. Why is your father still illegal? Why have you not fixed his papers? What's going on? That's their fault that ICE deported him. Well, I think he didn't even get deported, but he did get arrested. That's not ICE's fault. ICE has a list of people that are ready to be deported. So they go out there and grab them. They don't ask him, hey, sir, let me ask you a question. Are you sure you're supposed to be in this country? No. They got a picture. They got a name. Yep, you're coming with us, Pedro. No one is above the law. No one. If you serve in the military, you should be proud to say, hey, listen, father, I know you're Mexican, but you're illegal in this country. Father, you got to go. The kids, well, grown men, they're all older. They're of age. If they are serving in the military and they are citizens, they should have put in the paperwork and say, I'm requesting my father to be legal in this country, which is where I live. This is my finances. This is my record. I'm in the military. I am serving. I want my father to be an American citizen. He loves this country, blah, blah, blah. 100%, boom, the right thing. But that's not how it happened. They let the date just lapse. They didn't do their dues. And they go and blame the administration for enforcing the law. It's their fault. It's negligence. I hope their father gets citizenship, of course. I am all for that. And I'm not saying ICE is perfect. They make mistakes. And they made some mistakes. I don't think that the people that died should have had to die. But the fact is they were obstructing, and there is a risk. A reason why I respect the law. The reason why I stay out of trouble. If you go into a protest and there is a riot, just know that there is a chance that you will get hurt. And if you choose to go out there and be violent, your actions have a reaction. Your decision has consequences or rewards depending on what you did. So you gotta make your bed and sleep in it. You got to. Now, oh man. Let's go ahead and take a look. This is the polling. This is a polling from CNN. Let me listen to this real good because I didn't get to hear it that well. Let me see what they're saying here.
But others insist that any political change in Iran must come from the Iranian people themselves to be sustainable.
Yeah.
The largest community of Iranian expatriates in the United States is rallying in Los Angeles. CNN's Julia Vargas Jones was there earlier. So, Julia, how are people there reacting to the conflict?
Well, John, like any diaspora, there is a fragmentation of ideas. But today, what we saw here in the streets of Los Angeles was a celebration. Truly, people are thanking President Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel for these strikes in Iran. They see this as a pivotal moment, an opportunity for the regime to fall. But we have spoken to a variety of people here in what is known as Tehrangeles. Take a listen to what they said.
Almost the same time I'm fighting against this regime, I was an anti-war activist. So that's very complicated. Of course, from the killing of the Khamenei, I am excited. I cannot hide my feeling. World with no Khamenei is better for everyone. But at the same time, I don't like the war.
So you would rather see this be wrapped up and be done now?
Yeah, right now we are moving forward. Khamenei is dead. That's a good thing. Declare the Victorian League.
President Trump, although we're thankful to him, it took him a little bit of long time, and the Iranians lost a lot of lives. And I think now he has to finish it.
I never had so much mixed feeling in my life that I have right now. Because on one level, I want my country to be free and liberated. On another level, I am very sad when I see so many people of my countrymen are still
John, we're here in a street where business after business has signs in English and in Farsi, not even close to a better visualization of how split this community is. Right here, we have pictures that activists say are of people who were killed by the regime in Iran with the word "Stop War" graffitied over it. That's how fragmented it all is here in this enormous community in Southern California, John.
Yeah, it really is very possible to have very complicated emotions all over this. Really interesting to hear from the people that you were speaking with there. Julius Vargas Jones, thank you so much for sharing your reporting.
Okay, that was nothing. I mean, you know, for what I've been watching is that they be trying to do setups to make it sound negative. The guy said, okay, you kill Khamenei and leave. Well, some others are saying, don't leave. Wouldn't that be betraying the Iranian people? You know, you just can't please everybody. And I think that President Trump, as he says, we need to finish it. I see a lot of potential for true friendships to be born out of this war. Now, when I say war is, we haven't declared war on them, but they've been warring against us for 47 years, as everybody knows. Sanctions have been put on them. Sanctions have been lifted. You know, President Trump, don't mess around. Fafo, you guys already know. You guys already know. Now, let me get some commentation, some opinions here from Dave Rubin. This is a clip from Newsmax, and I wanna actually hear this. I was trying to hurry to be with you guys, and I didn't get a chance to actually listen to this clip. So let's listen to it together.
And so the war in Iran has caused a pretty obvious fracture in the Republican Party, we've all noticed, one that's been highlighted quite a bit in the media. Piers Morgan has called Ben Shapiro a propagandist as a fierce supporter of Israel and the bombing of Iran. Megyn Kelly also attacked Shapiro when Shapiro went back at Piers Morgan, calling him the same cancel culture vulture spitting, sneering intolerance that Kamala Harris is. And then you have Tucker Carlson, who's gotten really dark on this war. He absolutely despises the bombing of Iran and insinuated that Trump's demands for an unconditional surrender from Iran, which is the world's #1 sponsor of terrorism, by the way, would mean the rape of Iranian women by American troops.
Unconditional surrender means foreign troops get to rape your wife and daughter if they want. It requires that level of force to get a population subdued to the point of...
Wait, what? I haven't listened to Tucker for a while. Are you kidding me? This is how far he's gone? What the hell is he talking about? What the hell is he talking about? Bro, that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. What the hell was that? Hold on. Maybe I misunderstood. Maybe he's talking about... I'm sorry. Maybe he's talking about the other side. Hold on. Let me...
By American troops.
Unconditional surrender means foreign troops get to rape your wife and daughter if they want. It requires that level of force to get a population subdued to the point of unconditional surrender. That's why. And so in this case, of course, we don't have the ground force necessary. I don't think Americans would voluntarily participate in it.
What a moron. Like, this guy actually deserves the word moron. I'm not just throwing it out there to... What a freaking moron. He's lost it. He has lost his damn mind. Remember when I told you that he was over there bragging, I'm an American, I can go and do this and buy property in Qatar and all this other stuff? Like, what the hell? What is he talking about? Bro, what a disappointment. That is dark, man. I don't know you guys. That is dark, man. This guy, let me tell you, Morgan Pierce, he is a flake. He is I want to be on the left side this time. I want to be on the right side this time. Oh, I'm independent. I'm in the middle. If this one wins, okay, I'm going to go and I'm this. I supported you all this time. No. You win. I supported you all this time. That's Morgan Pierce. That's who he is. He is a jumping bean, except he's not Mexican. He's just a jumping bean. I don't know what else to call him. Maybe somebody from the UK can help me. What kind of nickname I can give a jumping bean in England terms? Because if I say I want some crackers, they call those crackers something else. I don't know. If I say I want cookies, they give me crackers, I think. Something like that. I don't know what the hell is wrong with the Brits. But all I know is this guy has loosed his marvels. Unbelievable. We don't do that. Why would you say such a disgusting thing about our military? What is wrong with this guy? Unbelievable.
I just don't think we can do that. It would require weapons of mass destruction. It would require presumably nuclear weapons.
All right, Dave Rubin is the host of the Rubin Report. He joins us now. Good to see you, Dave. I think it's pretty easy to see why we have a fracture here. I think what we're doing is the right thing to do, but I also acknowledge that Trump literally built his entire political image by criticizing foreign wars and the global agenda of the elites here in this country, right?
Sure. Well, I think it's important to make the distinction. Trump was always criticizing endless wars, right? Yeah. I don't think Trump was ever said he was against war for the right reasons. Now, you can have the, let's say a purely libertarian approach that America should have absolute isolationist foreign policy, and that can be your opinion, and that's a perfectly legitimate political opinion. I mean, I think what Tucker is doing with the rape comments that you just made, his endless obsession. I mean, every single episode is about Israel and or the Jews. He brings on lefties now and he glazes them, and then he brings on people on the right like Mike Huckabee or Ted Cruz, and he grills them relentlessly. I think this is a guy who went to Saudi Arabia, a place where churches are illegal, and said that he was happy and safe in the seat of Islam. Those were his words. Also said he was buying a house in Qatar. So there's a lot of weird stuff going on with Tucker. Meghan's dissent has been kind of disappointing, but I think she's purely doing it for clicks. I think she just saw a lot of energy around Nick Fuentes and Tucker, and I think she's just decided to get some clicks off of that. And, what can I tell you about Piers? He's a British tabloid journalist. He'll do whatever for a click. It just kind of is what it is. I would say, though, just quickly to wrap it up, that Trump has laid out what he is doing. Iran is not going to get nukes. This is something he has said for at least a decade. You can go back 40 years, him talking about the Iranian hostages, that we have been at war with these guys for about 40 years. He's getting rid of their ballistic missiles because, as Marco Rubio laid out, they were going to create basically a shield for their nuclear weapons program. And look, they're firing at 13 different countries right now. I think what's happening in the Middle East is a complete realignment. Most of these countries are realizing, hey, Israel's not our enemy. The United States isn't our enemy. They're defending us right now. And if the mullahs and the next Ayatollah are gone and the Iranian people can get their country back, this will look rather remarkable. I understand that's a big if, but we will see.
It's the Tucker thing I always try to figure out, because he created such a big name for himself and has such a big following. And then he just, on this one, it's, I'm trying to figure out where he is, because he obviously has a penchant to some extent for some of these Gulf Arab countries, like you said, but those guys are also, against Iran in this moment. And it's just a matter of, does he just hate the Jews? What do you think his motivation is to be so defiant and so harsh on, in this moment?
Well, I would say he does have an unhealthy obsession with the Jews. I don't know what's really in his heart or mind, although he did blurb one of my books, and I considered us friends for quite some time. He refuses to engage with me now, which is fine. He's written off a lot of people that used to consider him friends. That is what it is. But I think largely, this is a guy who a week ago or a week and a half ago on his show said that Iranian agents were running, or that Israeli agents, Mossad agents, were running around in Qatar. And then Qatar had to admit it wasn't even true. He never issues a retraction or a correction. He just had Douglas McGregor on his show, I think yesterday, who, was claiming that all our American bases in the area were destroyed and we're using Indian bases. It's completely made up nonsense. He won't address that. So I think this is one of the problems. We have to whatever extent we have a free internet, Rob. Anyone can put on a jacket like us and get a nice background and pretend they're doing journalism.
Right.
I try to tell the truth to the best of my ability. I'm going to make some mistakes along the way. I know you do the same thing. And if either one of us makes a mistake, we correct it. I would just watch people. I mean, people have an internal way of figuring out what's true, and I think a lot of people are waking up to what he's spewing.
Yeah, it's funny, I mean, the McGregor thing, you're right. I mean, he comes on and you think, oh, he was military and he knows all these things and he says all this stuff and it just sounds so interesting. And then you look it up and it's like none of it's true. And you just wonder, like, what the hell what are they pushing? You always have to be cognizant of that. As you said, anybody can get up there and talk now, and there's an internet full of people like that. Dave Rubin, good to see you. Thanks so much.
Good to see you.
That is crazy. I cannot believe that he talked like that. That is unbelievable. Wow. I'm telling you what, I'm glad I don't listen to these people. I'm glad I don't listen to these people. That is crazy, man. Crazy. Oh, here's an interesting one. I'm going to show you this one. Listen to this. Here's a couple of questions. Very simple. Somebody posted this. Listen to this audio.
Well, what rights do women have in Iran that they don't have here? Are you pro women's rights?
Libtard.
Of course. Who do you think is more for women's rights, the Trump administration or the Iranian regime?
Listen, libtards. Listen.
Don't really know anything about the Iranian regime, but I'm against Trump, so I guess I'll go Iranian regime if it's between the two.
Well, what?
That is a libtard. That is what I consider a libtard. If you don't know who the other person is, if you're not informed of what's going on the other side of President Trump, the stupid choice to make it say, well, I don't like Trump, so I'm going to vote for the other one. You don't even know about the policies. You don't know what's the background, what's going on. That, my friends, is a libtard. That's what I call a libtard. This is why this country was in trouble last election. A lot of people with soft feelings were hurt. And I say, well, I don't like Trump, so I'm just going to vote for Kamala. Can you imagine if every American was that stupid and that is the way we voted? I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this, even though it's probably anti-patriotic. If you don't know, just don't vote. Just don't vote. I tell my brother in Honduras, I say, who did you vote for? Oh, I haven't voted in the last 4 elections. I say, why not? It's your duty. Go vote. And he says, well, I just don't like either one of them. I think they're both thieves and stuff. I say, oh, that's fair. Shut me up. Shut me up right away. No, Zig Roofer, I don't know anything about the Iran-Contras. But this is the mentality that I am against from the leftist. This is why I always say to you, guys, listen to me. If you don't like Trump, it's okay. Forget about it. Just, keep that to yourself and hate the guy. That's fine. But what are the policies that he is following? And if you don't understand the policies, ask the question. Like, for example, when we say America first, the first thing that the libtards will say is like, well, what about the homeless? Oh, my God, $20 billion to Argentina. It was $40 billion. $20 billion to Argentina. He could have used that money to save the homeless. That's a libtard. Oh, my God, he's spending billions of dollars destroying fishing ships. That's a libtard. Oh, my God, he went to Venezuela and took out the president. That's a libtard. You have no knowledge of the background for those actions. See, like Zinc Roofer asked me if I know about the contrast. No, I don't. And I'm not going to pretend to know. If I wanted to know about it, I will research it. But right now, I can tell you that what I have researched, what I have learned, is enough for me to know that Iran's regime is an evil regime. And what's crazy is this. I love Arabs. I think they're great people. I'm gonna tell you. I am being so honest with you. Well, I'm always telling the truth. I'm gonna tell you something. When I was living in L.A., down in Los Angeles, this was when I was in my bad days. Okay, I was a bad guy. I was a bad man. I got around, as the song says, and I met this Arab guy. I can't remember which country he was from. I always forget the name, but I don't know if it was the Emirates. I can't remember. But I can tell you this. I met this guy through some sorority sisters. We went to this club with a couple of guys. Yes, Mexicans. And we went to this club and we met these girls, sorority girls, right? And they were there having fun with these Arabs. Cool. You know what? We met them, and I thought, hey, how are you? Hey, how are you? You know what? They were so hospitable. Hospitable. They were so hospitable. And we're in a club. We're not at their house. We're not in my house. We're at a club. And these guys are like, hey, listen, so we want to invite you guys to come and have dinner with us. And I said, the girls? He said, no, my friend. Not my friend, my brother. That's so cute. He said, my friend, my brother, I am inviting you as well. Would you like to come and spend time with us? Please, you will honor us. Whoa, I'm a nobody. What do you mean honor you? You know what? I went. Hey, Aztec, hold on, brother. Sorry about that. I went with them, right? It's so, I'm going to tell you this, and I'm not going to say this to brag. I should be ashamed of this. But it's so easy to get women down in Cali. It's very easy. Listen, I was not a saint. I was a bad guy. I was really bad. And I'm going to tell you this. I didn't know this, but I did find out later. So we went and followed them. We went to this restaurant. What was the name of it? It was like a Mediterranean food. I can't remember what it was from, but it was Mediterranean food. I never had Mediterranean food before this. And we sat down in this like low sitting lounge, like almost floor level. And we had a table, and there was this big bong. I don't know. They had some sort of pipe with little hoses, and you get to smoke some stuff in there, and they relax you. And there was like a fruity flavor, like grape or something. I don't know what the hell it was. I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel high. I didn't feel anything bad with it. It was just, I don't know what the hell it was. All I know is, MindSpeak, shut up. It probably was. So they had all this food, and man, it was so good. There was a couple of things that I didn't like. Almost threw up. But there was so many things in the plate. Hookah, I think that's what it's called. And they had so many things on the plate, like a buffet sort of thing. And there were these little things, MindSpeak, that looked like cerotes, It looked like breakfast sausages. You know what I'm talking about? The skinny ones? It looked something like that, but a little bit bigger, obviously. And, man, I was just so hooked on it. I was eating this and that. And the guy, the waiter brings the bill. The bill was over $600. And I was like, oh, man, hey, please, let me help you. He said, my friend, this is my house. You are welcome in my house. I invited you. Did you like the food? I said, it was amazing, but let me pay some. He says, this is my restaurant. I'm the owner. I take care of you. Respect. True story. It's an amazing story, by the way. I felt that he was so amazing. And then the other another experience that I had on the plane when I was flying to Georgia. I was flying to Georgia, and there was this guy. This guy. He was wearing the Emirates white jersey. I think it was like I don't know if it was the World Cup, and I think the Emirates won. I think. No, what was he? Qatar? No, not Qatari. What's Qatar? No. Man, I can't forget. I can't remember. I don't know if it was like a Turkish country. I can't remember. But what I'm telling you is that the guy was so nice. He was a big dude, and he was just so nice. And I'm just like, man, there's a lot of great people all over the world. There's times, and I know you can call me a wuss or gay or whatever you want. That's fine. But I'm going to tell you, there is times where I look at people from other countries, and the people they got such good vibes. They got such a good aura. You look at them, and then you see them as a family, and I'm just like almost tearful. Really, I'm serious. I'm very honest. I'm almost tearful. I get almost tearful when I say like certain ethnic groups, the way that they act, whether they're respectful or they just very friendly or just laughing and all this, that. And sometimes I'm a weirdo. Sometimes I'll be staring at people and my heart melts to think how wonderful it is that we can get along. As Rodney King once said, as he got beat up in L.A., can't we all just get along? I'm telling you, that message might sound stupid to a lot of people, but to me, it is amazing. When I've been in Samoa, to look at these people and just think the way they live, all the way on the other side of the world. You can't even see it on the map. You got to zoom in to be able to see any land. And the way that they live and the culture that they have and the discipline and the respect, and it's all about family, and they got all these things. And you can't help but to wonder, how wonderful is it? These people, like Fiji, other Polynesian islands, Polynesian cultures, not too long ago. I know my wife laughs at me when I said it. She doesn't like it when I say it. But not too long ago, they were cannibals. But it's true. You know it's true. That's why you're laughing, huh? Oh, man. And so, it's so wonderful to see how far we've come. Every culture, every ethnicity has had some sort of horrific history. Like, for example, the Mayans in Honduras are extinct. We're all mutts now. We're all mutts. But you know what? They used to sacrifice our children. They used to sacrifice our own people. We were sacrificing our own people to some pagan gods. We had this really, and sometimes cartoons interpret it, but it's not right. But we had this sport, like it's kind of like soccer, but the ball weighs about 9 to 10 pounds, and you have to kick it up a field. Let me see if I can find a picture as I'm telling you. And you have to kick it up it's not a pyramid, like a slope made, and it has a hoop. It has a hoop. Let me see if I can find it. I'm going to show you real quick. I took a picture of it. Let me see if I have a close one. Let me see what this one is. Hold on. What the hell is this? Right here, look. Check this out. So right here, they used to have to hit that rubber ball as a gouge ball. And you have to pick it up with your feet, no hands. With your feet, you can use your waist, you can use your shoulder, but it was so heavy, a lot of the Mayans that played the sport, they will break the bones on their feet playing this sport. And they will have to go in and they have to get the ball behind the statues here And every one of these has a sort of a point. And what they did was whoever won, this is crazy. Who the hell is going to want to win? Whoever won had the privilege and the honor to be sacrificed. Hell no, I will never win. Now, I don't know what they did to the losers. I never asked. But that's what they tell us. Isn't that crazy? In Mexico, they used to decapitate their own people. They used to set people on a rock to where their chest will open up and they will open them apart and grab the heart. I kid you not. This is in the history books. It was violent. We were savages. It's crazy. And you know, so when I look at other ethnicity, I'm telling you what, you know who believes me? Historians, archaeologists. They know what I'm talking about. And but what I'm telling you, oh my God, in India, but I don't know about India. I know a lot about Americas. But you know, it's like I look at all these cultures and some of the atrocities that I have known from from Africa, I guess India, right? It's Asia. But I know things from like Africa and how they mutilated men and women. You know, they will take the pleasure parts off of women. And sometimes they will take off the breast so they couldn't feed the baby. So, you know, it's a bunch of horrible stuff. China, you know, a bunch of horrible stuff. Russia, the same. And you got this Middle Eastern people, same thing. It's like every country has a horrific story. But that's why every time I look at people from different ethnicities, different countries, sometimes I stare at them and I don't know, my heart just melts, you know, and there's like a sadness, happiness sort of feeling, you know, that overwhelms me sometimes. But I'm grateful for that feeling. I'm human, and I'm grateful that I care about those things, because if we stop caring about the people that we look at, we're in trouble. I'm gonna tell you, I look at crazy people, it makes me want to grab them by the hair and make them sit down. But you know, to experience other peaceful moments with different cultures, the Filipinos, you know, and Thailand and Laos, and you know, I know so many great Mexican people, and I know a lot of native Indian Mexican people, you know, that are just so wonderful. Like I can't live the way they live. They're tough people, man. But I'm so glad about that, and that's why I love the United States of America. Because but that's one thing that I love about America, that is so open to other ethnicities, to other countries. And you know, if there is peace in the world, we can travel anywhere. We can travel anywhere and experience each other, you know. And you know, if I go to a country and they have this religion, I'm not going to convert, but I'm going to respect them. You know, I'm going to respect them. I'm not going to bow. If I do a bow, it's out of respect, not as a surrendering bow. There's a big difference. This is something that I have seen a lot of people do, and a lot of times when I'm very thankful, I gotta give you that little respect. You know what I'm saying? I'm humbled by your kindness, so to speak. Cutting Edge. That's a movie, but it's not far from the truth. It's very, very historical events mark those kind of behaviors, you know, and we do have stories of, you know, sacrificing people for crops. When the crops were doing bad, they would sacrifice people, and yeah, that man, yeah, Mel Gibson did a good job with that, to be honest. Okay, and I think that some stuff probably are made up. You know, some things are horrible. But what I do know is that the United States of America, despite of all the craziness that has happened anywhere, we're a great nation. We are a great country. And let's not forget, we still have millions and millions and millions of illegal immigrants who do not love this country. I think that if I was to run deportation, this is just me, I would go back prioritizing. I wouldn't prioritize just the hardcore criminals, but I would prioritize illegal immigrants in the last 6 years. By the time I'm in office, it's going to be 8 years. In the last 8 years to maybe 10 years, I will prioritize those deportations because those people came here through an open border and they didn't care. Anybody that has a TPS, proven that they have no criminal record, proven that they were able to get off welfare and are actually being good members in society, and they are porting into this country, meaning they pull their own weight, and they work hard, I think they deserve that. Now, another thing that I really want to do, if I do win government here, to be governor here in Washington State, one thing that I want to do is I want to raise the bar for who qualifies for benefits. Because I think that one of the biggest mistakes that they have made here in Washington State and in other states as well, so they have provided a welfare system that I think it's good. It helps the people. But they have discouraged the people from getting a job. They have catered so much to the socialist mentality that, let's be honest, there's more single women today because they have more benefits not having a husband. Here in Washington State, let me tell you something. Here in Washington State, you get punished for being married with taxes. You get punished. They take your money. They don't care. They take your money. And that is wrong. They discourage marriage. They promote transgenderism. They promote the LGBTQ all over the place. They hate the church unless you're a gay pastor or a gay bishop. It is a spiritual warfare, my friends. But I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this. Every family, there has to be the income in a family. It has to be their housing cost. And I'm talking about rent, not mortgage. You own a house, that's a different road. But rent. If you rent and you live in an area where you're trying to live by your means, right? You're not going to go live in a very expensive neighborhood because you can't afford it. But if your housing cost, your rent, is more than 30 to 40% of your income, it doesn't matter where you are on the income part. Well, I guess after 100,000, it doesn't matter where you are there. The bar needs to be raised probably double of what it is today to encourage people to work full time. And what it does is it encourages to work full time, and on top of that, we use funds that are given programs, socialist programs, socialist programs that give food benefits. Now, you're not going to go get ribeye steaks on SNAP, but you definitely get your milks, you get your eggs, you get some meats, you get some products, dry food, things that you can cook, canned foods, etc., things that are healthy. You would probably be able to buy Pedialyte with SNAP, those kind of things. I think those are good incentives to help people save money, to be able to have a very healthy life. They don't have to worry about the cost of food, and there's other things that we're planning on doing, but that is one of the things that nobody touches. Everything the government makes, they are making it so that we are dependent on them, not for us to have a better life. If look what they're doing to the rich people, the socialists on the left side, the more money the people that work harder make, the more they want to take from them. They never want to lift themselves up. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's wrong. That's wrong. Let me see. I think I have another thing that I had put on here. That's right. Yep. Let me grab a couple. Okay. Let's see. The mayor of Everett, blah, blah, blah. We saw that one. Okay. Here's another thing that I want to share, okay? I want to share this stuff with you. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and switch gears from that. That's something that I have to tackle. I gotta have to look at the numbers. I gotta put in writing, and we'll see if we can get a lot of executive orders. Yeah, a lot of executive orders for sure. Okay, so I want to share this video here. DC anti-war protest under the microscope. Let's take a listen.
Welcome back. Pro-Iran protesters gathering in Washington and across the country denouncing the United States and Israeli strikes on the world's leading state sponsor of terror. It appears, as you've seen these protests, perhaps you saw them on Saturday, that they are spontaneous, impassioned, organic. But they're not. They're organized, coordinated, branded, and sponsored. They're backed by multiple groups. And here's what's interesting. Take a look at this poster. It's a poster that showed up across the country. It's a poster that was prepared and ready in anticipation of these protests. You can see the scheduled date for March 7th. But the fascinating part is to look at the bottom of that poster, the bottom of that sign, with the half dozen, some 7, 8, 9 sponsors that are required to be printed at the bottom of every promotional material. Those are the groups who create, organize, brand, and pay for this protest and many others, because the same people that villainize the United States and sympathize with the Ayatollah carry the same branding, whether or not it is protesting the capture of Nicolas Maduro or supporting the Ayatollah. So the question is, who are these groups? Who's funding them? Let's dive in. Let's investigate. Let's start with this one. One of the lead organizers in almost all of these protests, and you can see their logo at the bottom of those posters, is the Answer Coalition. Their mission, act now to stop war and end racism. Now, the Answer Coalition was founded 3 days after 9/11. In 2024, the House committee accused the organization of having well-documented connections to Hamas in Iran. And how have they mobilized into action? Well, they protested the killing of Soleimani in Iran. They protested in support of Palestine in 2023. And they protested the capture of Nicolas Maduro. Here's another one of those little symbols and one of those groups at the bottom of that poster, the background of almost all of these protests. That's the National Iranian American Council mission. It's dedicating to giving a voice to the Iranian American community in civic life. It was founded in 2002. And in 2020, it was accused of being an unregistered foreign agent with ties to the Iranian regime. They have consistently protested in support of Iran. Now, with that, those two groups comes one of the biggest groups, always there when it comes to these protests, the People's Forum, to build unity across lines of division at home and abroad. Founded in 2017, focused on, and this is key because I want you to think about this as in the background of all these protests, anti-imperialism and anti-capitalism. They have organized in support of Palestinians. They have organized to protest Columbia students who were expelled from that university and put into the immigration process. And, of course, they protested as well against the capture of Nicolas Maduro. One more. Let's take a look at Code Pink. Of course, you know Code Pink. They show up, feminist grassroots, craziness in the hallways of Congress. They were co-founded by Jody Evans and Neville Roy Singham. Remember that name for just a moment. Hold it. Neville Roy Singham. We're going to talk about him more in just a few minutes. Now, they have helped coordinate the National Day of Action after the killing of Soleimani, and they also supported and marched in support of Palestine. Now, here it is. Who is Neville Roy Singham? Now, we've already mentioned he's married to the co-founder of Code Pink, Jody Evans. But the New York Times wrote, since 2017, about a quarter of Code Pink's donations, more than 1.4 million, have come from two groups linked to Mr. Singham. And House Ways and Means Chairman Jason Smith has said, on December 21st of 2021, the People's Forum posted on X admitted to receiving funding from Neville Roy Singham, a former United States technology mogul who now resides in Shanghai and is closely aligned with the Chinese Communist Party. So hold it right there for one moment. So Neville Roy Singham, connected to the Chinese Communist Party, has funded multiple groups we just showed you up on these walls. He funded the People's Forum. He funded Code Pink. There is also reporting that he helped fund the Answer Coalition. So Neville Roy Singham, multiple groups. Here, the background, the money. In 1974, he was the subject of an investigation. Ties to groups engaged in activities inimical to the United States interest. He worked as a consultant for a Chinese multinational corporation and technology company. And as it was mentioned, he currently lives in Shanghai. So whether it's anti-ICE, Free Palestine, now pro-Iran protests, it's the same networks, the same branding, and in many of these cases, the same organizer and funding. They're mobile, fast, well-funded, and they consistently side with America's adversaries. The question isn't whether people can protest, but it's whether or not that protest is organic, whether or not it's real, or if there's a man behind the curtain.
Oh, well, that's something that we have talked about before. We have talked about that already, and I have mentioned this all the time, and I want to reiterate something that I have mentioned before on my show, and that is that we have millions of illegal immigrants. We have millions of foreigners that are not supposed to be here in this country. How easy is it for them to make money? For all the libtards out there that keep defending this whole, oh, they're just here to work, what are you going to do about that? Like, how do you think these people make money? And where do you think this money goes? Because it doesn't all go back to the economy. They take away jobs from actual legal people that live in this country, and they send most of their money as remittances back to their countries of birth. That's just how it is, regardless of how you look at it. You think that having more people in here is better for the economy? No, it's not. At least it's not good for the pockets of Americans that are paying taxes. The higher demand for less supply is huge. That's why rent has gone up greatly. That's why housing prices have skyrocketed. And somebody was debating me. Well, he was arguing more. But somebody was debating me a couple nights ago and telling me that illegal immigrants, they make more money for the economy. And his logic, Aztec, check this out. His logic was this. He said, I've seen 10 Mexicans in a one-bedroom apartment, and they're paying the rent just fine. I know. But that's the problem. That when you have desperate people looking for housing because there's not enough, the apartment communities will raise the price because their occupancy is very high. It's very, very simple. Now, I worked in the apartment communities. I know this. I was a leasing agent for years. I worked in real estate for years. I worked on big buildings in downtown. Well, no, I didn't work there. I worked for the company, and I went there to help out. But I leased in big corporate buildings in downtown Seattle, and oh my gosh, a studio was $3,800. Crazy. So I thought that, that clip was very important, because you see all these people protesting, and somebody's giving them money. Somebody's making these nice signs. By the way, I need to make some nice signs myself. I hope that we can collect enough money. I hope that I can raise some money. That's what it is. All right, let's see. Hector thinks that he can debate me. Let's see. Let me diagnose Hector and see if he really wants to debate. Dennis, what do you think about people calling you the Latino Uncle Tom? What do you say to those people? I say to those people, they're jealous. They're envious of the privilege that I have acquired to become an American citizen. Did you know that that's one of the problems that they had back in slavery days as well? Because in the North, the slaves from the North didn't have the work that the slaves from the South did. Because the slaves from the South, you have to understand, the South was more about farming and cotton and all this other stuff, but the North was more industrial. So they had better jobs. And just because they defended their masters and the people where they work, and they were happy with the things, I'm not going to say they were completely happy, but they were happier than the slaves from the South. Well, they were hated for it, and they were called Uncle Tom because they will be defending the white people. They defended the white people because they were good to them. On the South, the white people were bad to them, so they talk shit about the white people. I get that. I get that. But, you know, some people just don't know. You have to respect the law of the land. You got to respect where you're at. You got to earn that favor. You got to earn that respect. If I want it. If I don't want it, I don't care. You got to make me want to respect you in order for me to want to respect you. You know what I'm saying? That is, with all the illegal immigrants sent back by this administration, home prices are still high and interest rates have not moved. I will say why. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? It's a legitimate question. Now, I'm going to tell you, 3.5 million illegal immigrants is nothing. I heard 50 million, but we're going with the first number that we started with at 21 million illegal immigrants. 3 million is nothing. 21 million illegal immigrants makes up the population of 32 to 34 states. Imagine that. Imagine that. It makes up the population of 32 states. There's a lot of states that are not really filled up with people. Why do you think that these Muslim fraudster pirates and Somali pirates in Minnesota keep winning? Because they have such a small population in their community, and they bring all of these people from Somali not to assimilate, not to be American, but to go into one community so that they can support their own. When Ilhan Omar talks about the American citizens that she's helping, she's talking about her people. And yes, that is her people. We are not her people. I'm going to point this out. If you're Hispanic, test me on this. Test me on this. If you are Hispanic, how does the community where everybody is Hispanic look like? Be honest. It looks like a third world shithole. California, LA, South Central, ghetto. Compton, black people, ghetto. Chinatown, ghetto. Dirty. Looks ghetto. Pasadena's ghetto. Fullerton, ghetto. Anaheim, used to be nice, ghetto. Is full of illegal immigrants. And that's the problem with not assimilating. That's the problem with allowing people who have no loyalty, no desire to respect the United States of America. I'm telling you the truth. Go find out. Why? This is a serious question, and I know the answer. Why do you think black people want to move to white suburban neighborhoods? Why do you think Hispanics want to move into white neighborhoods? If the hey, go back to your country, bro. Get the shit out of here. You know, if you don't like white people, why do you fight so hard to have what they have? Why do you fight so hard to take their stuff away? All you got to do is you got to make that change for yourself. By the way, my slogan for my so-called propaganda that the leftists say that I'm going to have, it's called, you ready for this? Drum roll. Drum roll. Here we go. The slogan for my campaign is going to be, make that change. Bam! There you go. That's it. That's my slogan. You heard it here first. And the Dennis Herrera Show. Don't forget, this is where you got your entertainment for tonight. All right, let's go to the next clip. I got a couple more that I want to share with you. Listen to this. Now, I'm talking about Washington State here, specifically in Washington State. So pay attention, please.
we're just taxing ourselves out of all opportunity. How does an income tax affect people in my district? There are businesses that aren't even going to come to Washington State because we're no longer competitive on the tax front. So we're going to lose out on jobs, innovation, economic development for our communities. There's no staying put. You can't put on that parking brake and stay there. You're going forward or you're completely coming down that hill and going backwards. So we have to make investments in economic development. And right now, we're just...
Very clear. You see what I'm saying? We got to make that change, people. And that doesn't just happen here in Washington State. If you are in California, like some of you people in here, I think, if you are in California, you see it happening. So why don't you do something about it? Besides saying tax the rich, that is not the answer. Blaming somebody else because they have success does not help you become successful. I want you to understand something. I want you to be independent. You know, I am all for, listen, we have a couple, there's like $1 billion something budget to give up free food in Washington State. About $1 billion. I can't remember what the cipher was, but about $1 billion. And a lot of times it just goes wasted. It just goes wasted. What did you say? Yeah. I want you to think for yourself. Don't depend on the government. Never depend on the government. But if you want to do something and you know that there is a lot of money being collected, you got to give back to the community. You got to be able to show it. You got to be able to say, hey, listen, remember that we had a $10 billion budget? Well, here we go. We put a $1 billion on this project. This is what's been done. Here's the camera. Here we go. Boom. Here's video. This is where we started. This is what's going on right now. Here's the update. I want to have a person in charge of every department. I want to have, believe it or not, I think that parks and recreations, very underrated. Very underrated. Number one, when we'll talk about keeping order, law and order, I want to have more police. I want to have more police that interact with communities. I want to have more boots on the ground, as they say, like military, but not military, police, peace officers. We don't need social workers to answer a 911 domestic violence call. We need enforcement, peace officers. I want to get police, more police on the street. I want people to trust law enforcement, and I want law enforcement to enforce the laws. Number two, I want to have more rangers in our parks. Make a small house that they can have at each one of the big major parks for hiking. They carry weapons. They are there to protect people. All right? Out in the outskirts, I want farmers to be successful. I want farmers who are helping us get food to be successful. I don't want big corporations. Manuel, you might be right about that, bro. I know. I'm trying to be positive. I'm trying to be optimistic. We're pushing on. I'm gonna tell you a story, okay? I shared this before, but it's a true story, and I'm gonna try to shorten it for you for your time. Watch this. Don't know what the hell is that. Let me, Elizabeth, what the hell are you saying? How can I make that change without being a racist bit? And what? I don't know what that is. Live in a immigrant apartment. I feel alone. Give food to them always. It's just that I don't know who my neighbors are. I know for a fact that they are illegal. Sometimes it's very obvious, but I'm just going to say you got to hang in there. I can only speak. I can only make promises for for my state, okay? I have friends in California. Who knows if they win? Bernier wants to run for governor in 2030, so that's somebody that I will support, and I think that he's going to make a change as well. But first, we got to start making a change here in Washington State, and I think that the domino effect will just trickle down to California. Remember when welfare was an embarrassment? Now it's a life. Rush, babe, absolutely. I remember one time we did get, when I was emancipated, for those of you that don't know, emancipated means that I was independent, underage. I've been emancipated since I was 16 years old. That means that I've been on my own since I was 16. Well, when I finally got, I got food stamps, and I had a little booklet, like $1, like Monopoly money. Man, it was so embarrassing. Oh, my God, bro. I'm going to pay with food stamps. I got to look around before I take out here, hurry up. Just put it in the drawer. It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. I did get free lunch. That was a blessing. And, then they invented the EBT cards. And that made it less embarrassing because you can kind of block the EBT on there. You know what I'm saying? And then you can pay for food and stuff. And I think those programs they're great. They're there to help low-income people. But the problem is that I think the bar has been set so low, like income-wise. You got to make so little money. You're like minus poor nationwide average to be able to get assistance. That's not right. You should be able to have, listen, if you have a full-time job, and this is how I feel that people get rewarded. If you go to college, I graduated high school, I got a couple of years of college, that was a waste. But here's the thing. If you go to college, okay, and you become a doctor, your pay is going to be great. It's going to be good job. And you're giving to society. You are being very helpful. But if you drop out of school and you want to flip burgers and sell fries at McDonald's, don't expect a high wage. But you do have to work full time. So here's what I'm proposing. If you have a low-paying job, we're not going to raise the minimum wage because you need to have affordable income. I don't know. What the hell you guys call that? A livable wage, I think is the word. Yeah. You want to have livable wage, but you don't want to make the effort to get educated. You don't want to get a trade. You don't want to learn how to be a professional on any field. You just want handouts. Well, if you dropped out of school because you made a stupid mistake and you have a baby and all this stuff, it's happened to a lot of us, right? But if you're working full time, you're not going to make that much money. But if the bar is set at a higher income to qualify, you can still get your health care for free working full time. You can still get your food stamps working full time. You can still get those benefits. But if you want more money, if you want to be able to do more, then you get another job. The problem is that the system is rigged, so where the more time you sacrifice of your life working, the more time you sacrifice working overtime, the more you get punished for making that overtime. So there has to be a raise on the income bracket for taxes as well. I know the libtards don't like to hear this, but let's be honest. Let's be honest. I got a lot more money on my taxes because of the one big beautiful bill. I am proof of that. I was able to take advantage on the interest paid on my loan to my American-made car. I took advantage of that. It was fantastic. I also took advantage of the no tax on overtime pay. Now, for some people that don't understand what that is, if you work 8 hours a day, that's regular time. Let's say you make $10 an hour. You make $10 an hour, okay? If you work 5 days, 8 hours, you get 40. If you work 10 days, now this is just the way it works in Washington. If you work 10 hours in a day, the 2 of those hours is overtime. And the way that it works is this. The 2 hours pay will still be $10. But each one of those hours has an extra, what we call overtime pay. And that is half of your hourly wages. So those 2 hours gave you an extra $10 for that day. That is the no tax on overtime. Whatever the half extra pay on top of your hour, that's the overtime pay. Some people don't understand that. I don't know why, but it makes sense to me. All right. And then you have this one thing that a lot of senior citizens, even here in Washington, in Everett and Seattle, a lot of senior citizens were so concerned that the President Donald Trump was going to take away their Social Security. This is how they ran the campaign. This is how Democrats fear-monger the people. This is how the Democrats lied to our elders because their vote still counts. They still count. They lie to them. They go out there. They're so fearful. They are abusing our elders. And they go out there, and I'm like, ma'am, guys, who told you this? Who told you that your Social Security is being taken away? You know what Trump is doing? The one big beautiful bill, it says that you shouldn't have to pay Social Security, ma'am. Sir, you don't have to pay Social Security tax. Social Security is yours. That's for you to enjoy your retirement. You finally have a president in office that cares enough to say, listen, there should be no taxes on Social Security. Now, he's talking about retirement Social Security. I don't think it covers the disability or anything like that. But if you are retired at a retirement age, you don't pay taxes on it. And they're like, are you sure? I was like, ma'am, yes, I am sure. You don't have to pay taxes on that. And they told us that President Trump was going to take our taxes away. And I said, I know, they like to lie about Trump all the time. They just don't like him. But you know what? They rather sacrifice us, the people, for the hate of one man. Because he comes to disrupt everything that they've been getting away with for decades. He comes to disrupt a corrupt system that has been so racist. This is where I believe with the systematic racists. They give this welfare. First of all, they take black people, they're ignorant. That black people are stupid. They don't tell it on the open. They don't even think black people are a whole person. You remember that? Back in the slavery days, right? History? They weren't even considered humans. So what they do now is that they tell them they're ignorant. They can't get ID to vote. They give single mothers all this help and then put the black fathers in jail. Now, I get it. There's a lot of criminality out there. People are robbing and this. That happens. It happens. But it's the minority. Believe me, it's the minority. I have known a lot of black people myself. Yeah, leftist people make fun of me for this. I paid child support for 22 and a half years. I had a warrant for my arrest. I spent one night in jail. I didn't know. And the worst thing is, I was actually the one taking care of my son. And when I proved to the court that I was the one, not one time did I use ABT, food stamp, SNAP, or anything to buy any milk for my son. It was $16 a can of milk, and my son used to drink 2 a week. I worked 2 jobs, full-time, 2 full-time jobs for years. My baby's mama left me for another guy because she said I didn't spend time with her. I said, well, you get a job, and then that way we can spend time together. I had 2 jobs. I slept with my son, and I would have to get up in the middle of the night to make him a hot bottle and to change his diaper. That was my life as a young adult. What did I get from the government? I didn't get jack squat. You know why? Because I made too much money. I made too much money to be able to pay for my apartment, for my car, for my food, for my electricity, for my phone bill, for all the necessities that I had as a young adult. And you know what she got? She got cash. She got food. She got free health care. I got nothing. I got punished for working my butt off and trying to be a responsible man. And I met so many single mothers. I was not with them. I met so many single mothers to where they could have their husbands. The men were good men. And they were put in jail. Warrants for their arrest. Not because they were thieves, murderers, rapists, or anything. Because of child support. Well, some bitch. That's how it works. And for many times I thought, you know, this is what it is and there's nothing I can do. But then I got wiser. My last couple of years that I paid child support, I was like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, it feels so nice to be able to afford more food. I don't want to cry, but I'm telling you, it breaks my heart to see that I had to go through all of that. Not appreciated. Didn't get to keep my kid. And the woman got everything. That's okay. You know, that's okay. But it's still not a fair world. It's not justice. And the system is rigged so that families don't stay together. They are so against the nuclear family that they like to bribe you with food and money and benefits so that you don't have the nuclear family, so that you don't have the American dream. Pathetic. And that is why I'm running for governor. Not because I think I'm the best candidate, because I'm sick and tired of them abusing the American people. People don't know my life. I come from El Barrio in Honduras. There were thieves breaking into our house every weekend. We didn't have nothing of value. What are you breaking in for? We have gangs trying to recruit us when we were kids, and I said no. Others had no choice. Robberies all the time. Drugs all the time. Killings. I've seen family members in a garbage bag cut into pieces because of gangs. People don't know how great it is to be in this country. They don't understand why I love the United States so much. You know what? Let me go ahead and give you the next clip. I don't want to get too emotional. Listen to this. Oh, my gosh. This is one of the things that I'm talking about.
You bring us the news from the Pacific Northwest, Seattle in particular, and I'm struck by this one item. Restaurant owners there say they're out of options. They're struggling with Washington state cost mandates. Have you seen restaurant closures in Seattle?
They're happening nonstop. It feels like we get a new one that's announced that's a pretty major restaurant closure.
But Lipters say, tax the rich. Tax the rich. Raise the minimum wage.
Every single week. The biggest issue in Seattle specific is that they again raised the minimum wage to over $21, and at the same time they took away the wage or tip credit. So you're no longer allowed to account for the tips as part of the minimum wage hike. And all of these restaurants going into this said, do not do this. If you do it, you are going to devastate the industry and we're going to have to shut down. And that's precisely what it is they did.
It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable. Darcy, the way that the reason why things are like that in Honduras is because we have corruption like every other country. A lot of people here, Americans, left and right, doesn't matter, just Americans in general, they hate President Trump for pardoning the president of Honduras. And I mentioned this a lot on my show, Juan Orlando Hernandez. He declared war on the cartels. There was a president, Juan Zelaya. Let me give you a little history here. The president, Juan Zelaya, there was a general that had suspicions about drugs coming in through Honduras to the United States. The general found out that these were small planes that will shut off their transponders, I think is what it's called. And he shot 3 of those planes down. I think it's Mel Zelaya. And President Zelaya fired the general. It gets better. President Juan Orlando was the head. He was a Speaker of the House. Ran for president. He won. The first thing I remember, because I went down there, and one of the times that I visited, I heard him say he was going to put a stop to the drugs, and he was making war on the cartels and violence in Honduras. A few years later, I go to Honduras. I still see the violence. I still don't see a change. I go back again. 2 years later, I'm starting to see the roads, the main roads, are looking good. I don't see as much violence. I am able to walk in the downtown in my city where I was born. I was able to go back to where I was born, and I didn't recognize it because they paved all the dirt roads. It looks so nice. The houses still look small, and I felt like a giant because when I left the country, I was smaller. But I saw the difference. And then we have a problem here in the United States of America. And the wife of that president who got his terms ran for office, and she lost. Guess who she was in bed with? Not literally. She was in bed with Nicolas Maduro, whom Juan Orlando had declared war on drugs. And they started giving misinformation to the state, saying that Juan Orlando was saying that he's going to shove up all the cocaine of every American's nostrils. That was a lie. They threatened his family they threatened to kill his family. This is what happens when you have good people trying to make a change in their community, in their city, and their state, and their countries. This is what happens. Corruption wants to be free. They want to maintain the law-abiding citizens in chains, so to speak. So what happens? He comes, gives himself up, boom, comes to the United States of America. He has this weak-ass lawyer that they gave him. He happened to be sick. And then he said, I'm going to represent myself. Let me see my papers, blah, blah, blah. And all the files, he was going through it. He went on PBD's podcast. You can listen to him. He went through all the files, and he's like, wait a minute, what the hell is this? I didn't do any of this. What do you mean? This is what they're charging me with? And he said, no. And I want to hear a hearing. I want a hearing. Blah, blah, blah. Anyways, 45 years they gave him to go in jail. And what happened in Honduras? Well, the infrastructure is already, the budget is already made. The money has been collected. Everything is still being constructed. And then the new communist president, going under the false Democrat farce, a communist Marxist socialist, takes power, takes credit for everything the previous president Juan Orlando did, and recognizes Nicolas Maduro is the legitimate president in Venezuela, which, by the way, Juan Orlando denied him. He never accepted him as a legitimate president because of what he did to 90% of the population of Venezuela. So now we have a new president, El Papi. That's what they call him, El Papi. And he is working with President Donald Trump. Fantastic. I have so much hope for Honduran people right now. I'm excited. But that's what happens. When you have good people with good morals, people that don't want to rob the people, even though there's allegations all the time about all the people, Even though it's not true, there's always going to be allegations. But the fact is that anybody that wants to stand up for their country, the enemy does not like it. Because the more secure and the safer a country is, the less room for crime there is. So if we can minimize the crime rates, fantastic. I want audits. I want to know where the taxpayers' dollars went. I want to have accountability, and we're going to be transparent. Everything we do, everybody has to know about it. If we are doing something that needs a vote, then we need to pass a vote for the people. If we're going to do this and we're going to do that, everybody's going to listen to what they are saying. And we're not going to limit it just to a government website. We're going to allow all media to have access to all those press releases, all those meetings. There'll be no private, all of a sudden, press meeting just amongst the union or specific elites. That's not going to fly. The public, the constituents of every single one of these senators, Congress, and mayors, and the governor, all of them need to be informed of what's going on. It'll be the choice of the people to know, to say how much they want to know, but all the information needs to be out. I wish that I can say, hey, listen, you know what? This is how much money was given to the farmers. Well, this farm sucks. They're going out of business because of their fall. Well, nope, this farmer is actually losing his farm because the big pharma, the big farmer corporation is taking them out. They're kicking them out with power, with money. The people will know why things are happening instead of just, hey, we heard this. Hey, we heard that. Well, I don't know who's right. No, transparency. 100%, Rush. 100% accountability. 100%. And watch. Look, you are witness here in this channel how much pushback I get from people. And I'm not even popular. I don't have a big following. I barely got 17,000 something, almost 18,000 subscribers. But look at the pushback. Anti-American. You're a coconut. They're racist towards me. They hate me. I want people to respect the law. Learn to love and honor your country. Learn to respect other people and love them and help them. You know, respect is earned. And if I haven't earned any respect from any of them, I don't want the respect. Because their ideologies are different than mine. They don't want to follow the policies that are good for migrants, but specifically for American citizens. Come on, it's a very great privilege and honor to be an American citizen. Don't be an entitled tard. Be humble. Understand that you have a great gift. Being American is one of the greatest gifts that any migrant can have and any citizen can have. But you got to respect, you got to love, and you got to honor the country that you live in. Very simple. All right, I got one more clip, I believe. Here we go. Check this out.
A new rule in Washington state could block people from selling their home without first asking the government for approval. But why do they want you to ask permission from the government to sell your house?
Well, it's not quite asking permission. It's actually, I would say, a little bit worse than that. You have to go through a system to get an energy rating on your home. And they're forcing this. You have to pay for it. It could cost up to $300, and they're looking at HVAC systems, insulation, your windows, your energy bills, and you get graded on this on a scale of 1 to 100. And then before you go for sale, you have to disclose this to potential buyers. And the whole thinking is, well, if you have a low grade, you're going to then put more money into different technologies to bring your score up, which is better for the environment, they argue.
So the government wants you to ask for permission before you can sell the house. Now, I don't think that's a big deal, but it's still ridiculous how the government wants to have so much control, even on the property that you have worked decades and so much sacrifice to own. Even that they want to control. I'm going to tell you why people go against me when I'm trying to do something for the people. I love Washington State. Washington State, it's a beautiful, amazing state. It's phenomenal. I love Washington State. But I'm going to admit to you, I don't want to live here no more because I feel that there is no hope that we can change anything. And I had to fight with myself. And I tell myself, shut the hell up. Get up. Do it again. With that being said, guys, thank you so much for being with me. I hope that you were entertained. Your opinion matters. Be a good American. If you're a migrant in this country and you are illegal, just self-deport. It's better for you. It's better for everybody. Come back the right way. Do the right thing. If you were a born American, be grateful of your gift. Respect and support our military. Have faith. Support them. Give them good vibes. Welcome them when they come home. Make them a pie. Treat them good. Be grateful to their families. Honor them. But most importantly, to God be all the honor and glory and might, for only He is holy, holy, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whom I serve. You all be blessed. God bless you, your family, and the United States of America.